The Chair.
This meeting of the Standing Finance Committee is now resumed, and we go on to Head 43, Ministry of Works and Transport. Head 43, Ministry of Works and Transport, the sum of $2,359,344,860. Minister, thank you for being so accommodating and coming at least 45 minutes before your scheduled time. I will now invite the Minister of Works and Transport to make a brief opening statement, not exceeding 5 minutes. Minister.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, the Ministry of Works and Transport is responsible for providing physical infrastructure and transport service required for the social and economic development of the country. The Ministry covers maritime, aviation, coastal protection, planning and implementation of roads and drains infrastructure, construction, maintenance, and mechanical service issues, enforcement of laws under the Motor Vehicle and Road Traffic Act, traffic wardens, as well as traffic management measures. This is done via 24 units and divisions and 12 statutory agencies. In fiscal 2021, we saw the global economy battling a number of unprecedented challenges, such as the rapidly spreading COVID-19 pandemic and its impact on the international competitive markets. Despite these challenges, the Ministry of Works and Transport, in collaboration with the statutory agencies, persevered with its commitment to provide the public with a high-quality, safe and efficient infrastructure and transportation services. In this context, I would like to take a moment to commend the Ministry of Finance, the staff of the Ministry of Works and Transport, and the statutory agencies for their continued support in the implementation and execution of the Ministry's work program for fiscal 2021. In fiscal 2021, the impact of the global pandemic, both on the local and international economy landscape, was most visible on the project implementation, effective billing, and payment. In fiscal 2022, the Ministry of Works and Transport has been allocated $648.215 million allocated to undertake its public sector investment program and $2.195 billion for the recurrent program of works. It should be noted that the Ministry has a number of large infrastructure projects being undertaken simultaneously. In fiscal 2022, the Ministry remains committed to the completion of work on the remaining 9 packages along the north link of the Solomon-Holtroy Highway extension to Point Fortin. Additionally, the Ministry is expected to complete ongoing work on the construction of the Diego Martin vehicle overpass, whilst work will continue on the Churchill Roosevelt Highway extension to Sani Grande and the Valencia to Toco Highway. Given the magnitude of work and the associated quantum of funding required to undertake these works, other fiscal measures are being explored to finance these projects, as reflected in the Ministry's allocation under the Infrastructure Development Fund. Having regard of uncertain times in which we are operating, the Ministry will ensure flexibility in its financial management regime by closely monitoring projects execution with a view to reprioritize expenditure as required to maintain value for money and address the emergencies as they arise. In particular, we will seek to confirm via continuous dialogue with the Ministry of Finance the adequate fundings ensure that adequate fundings are available for the Ministry's ongoing planned works during this fiscal year. In this context, I stand ready to provide information on activities, programs, and projects under the Ministry of Works and Transport scheduled for fiscal 2022. At this time, Madam Chairman, we can provide information now or in writing as required. And just to add, Madam Chairman, unlike my colleague from the Ministry of Agriculture, I will not take advantage of the host as I'm a guest in your chamber.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable members, the question is that the sum of $2,359,344,860 for Head 43, Ministry of Works and Transport, stand part of the schedule. Honorable members, the sum of $2,359,344,860 for Head 43, Ministry of Works and Transport, is comprised of monies proposed for expenditure under the following subheads and items to be found in the draft estimates of recurrent expenditure, the draft estimates of the revenue and expenditure of the statutory boards and similar bodies and of the Tobago House of Assembly, and the draft estimates of the development program. We shall now proceed to consider the draft estimates of recurrent expenditure. Subhead 01, Personal Expenditure, Item 001, General Administration. Member for Oropouche East.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and good morning to the Minister and his staff. Just 01 personal expenditure, I'm looking at remuneration to board members. It is at $20,000, but I just wanted to ask the Minister just to clarify the actual for 2020. There was no expenditure at all there, if there was some explanation for that. That's all.
What line item is that there? It's
01 personal expenditure.
Sorry, 01 for board members.
You may repeat it.
There was expenditure.
But you have for actual 2020, no expenditure.
Oh, you want the actual?
But maybe it's a typo or something. So.
Yeah. Yeah, we have actual, probably on...
Oh, we don't have it in our...
Yeah,
book,
so probably there's just a typo on your sheet, but we do have.
Anybody else have it there?
Madam Chair, can I ask the member for Oropouche East, is he looking at line item 14, remuneration to members of cabinet appointed committees? Which one are you looking at?
I'm looking at remuneration to board members. How much is it? Okay.
Which item?
Okay. I was looking at page 246.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the wrong item.
We all lost.
246.
Member for Couva North.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I'd like to draw the Honourable Minister's attention to line item 02, wages and COLA. This actual spend for 2020 was 5.6 million, but it's been estimated at 4.5 million. It was estimated in 2021 at 6.3, but only 4.4 was utilized. Minister, can you advise the number of persons under this line item that was employed at the ministry at the beginning of the financial term in 2021 and at the end of the financial term?
Yeah. And through you, we will furnish that information at a later date.
Can the Minister advise the number of staff that was laid off during the last financial year?
No members of staff were laid off.
Well, I'll await the information in writing.
Sure.
Highways. Member for Naparima.
When we refer to highways here, we're referring to the main roads for which the ministry has responsibility, as opposed to secondary roads which the corporations have responsibility? All right. The answer is yes. Well, if the answer is yes, I see on 01, there's a decrease of 100,000. Could the minister indicate, given the plethora of potholes and landslips in Manahambri Road, Kanhai Road, St. Cross Road?
Member.
Yeah.
Member.
This is not highways.
Just 1 minute.
No wonder his
1 minute.
constituents.
Is
Just
this staff?
1 minute. Are we under 01?
Yes.
Okay. So
Is the staffing adequate?
Okay.
The plethora of landslips and potholes, given as you are aware, the number of problems that we have in that area.
Madam Chair, through you, this is the monthly paid salary.
Yeah.
What you'll be
Is the
referring
staffing-
to, what you'll be referring to is really the daily paid.
No,
who works
I'm
on
referring to the
road.
monthly paid.
Member has identified 01, and therefore we take it that the member knows what it applies to. So therefore, Minister, could you answer the question with respect to 01?
Like engineers, etc. Do you
Well,
have enough?
There are some. Sure, okay. There are some vacancies, and we are working with the CPO to fill these vacancies.
Vacancies, and are they affecting the delivery of service to the ministry?
Well, right now the ministry is functioning. The ministry is functioning, but obviously if there are vacancies and we can fill these vacancies, obviously you will have some improvement. But remember, the ministry and the minister can't go out, and we have to work with the DPA to get these positions filled.
Could you tell us the number of vacancies?
I'll submit that to you in writing.
Thank you.
Sorry. Yes, Madam Chair, my question was concerning number of vacancies, and the Minister said he will answer it in writing.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, can the Minister provide the same in writing for line item 02?
Yes.
Member for Oropouche West.
Thank you. My colleague from Couva North has asked the question, and Minister has responded in right.
I take it member for Couva South no longer wants to ask his question, so I go on to item 003, traffic management. Item 004, central planning unit. Item 005, drainage. Member for Couva North.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, under this line item 02, wages and COLA, what was estimated for 2021 was 43 million, yet only 40 million was utilized. And this line item will deal with the workers that assist in cleaning, the manual team that assist in cleaning the various water courses across the country. Madam Chair, during the later part of this year, as the rainy season came down upon us, we have been experiencing significant flooding in the constituency of Couva North, Central and South Trinidad. And we have conducted several site visits with officers of the Ministry of Works Drainage Division. The majority of watercourse that we highlighted to these officials, they have not been able to clean that because they have been complaining with a shortage of manpower to get the work done. Can the Minister advise why it is the 43 million was not fully utilized to ensure that the manpower was provided to get these watercourses clean?
Sure. This here also covers additional things like leave pay and things like that. The ministry did increase its staff in the areas that your concern is, and we are almost at a full complement with the drainage division. So it's not a reduction in staff, because we didn't have as much expenditure because of the leave pay and things like that. That is why you have a reduction. It has nothing to do with less employees or not enough employees or anything like that. The drainage division, I mean, as we can attest, and you see that out there, is, I mean, doing a fantastic job in terms of the deliverables.
Thank you, Minister, for that response. But the drainage division has not been doing a fantastic job because person has been flooded out. However, taking what you have just said into account, then it is safe for us to assume that the areas that has not been serviced over the last few months will be serviced within the coming few months, and those watercourses in Couva North and Central and South Trinidad will be cleaned, right?
There's several votes that the drainage division operates under. And as you will appreciate, flooding is happening all over the world. The drainage division cannot stop flooding. What we do is that we mitigate against flooding. And that is why in the areas that you spoke about, once the rain stops, you have an immediate runoff. That is testimony that the drainage division have been doing their work. I mean, at the end of the day, there's no country in the world that gets the sort of rainfall that we get here, that have the infrastructure that will, say, eliminate flooding once and for all. That's all I have to add.
Minister, would you be kind enough to provide us in writing the head count at the beginning
Sure.
of the 2021 financial term and at the end of the financial term also?
Sure.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I'm on line item 01, Salaries and Cost of Living Allowance. Minister, I see an allocation of $4.5 million was estimated in 2021, but there's only a spend of $3.7 million. That is $800,000 were not spent in terms of cost of living and salaries. Can you account for why you didn't utilize the full allocation that was given to you, having regard to the state of the drainage in Trinidad and Tobago?
In 2001. Okay, so if you go back to 2020, you'll see the spend was 3.6, right? And in 2021, the spend was 3.7. So it's a similar spend that you have from 2020 to 2021.
No.
And if you go back now to the allocation in 2022,
it's 4.2.
right?
Right. So is it that there's a plan to hire more persons in the drainage?
This is to pay for increments and allowances that may be outstanding as well.
Okay. Also, Minister, can you just give us the number of vacancies we have
Sure.
in the drainage department?
Sure, I will provide that in writing to you.
Member for St. Augustine. Member for Naparima.
One, expenditure 01, expenditure 4.2 million, increase of 5. See, Minister, could you provide us with a listing of the senior personnel in the drainage division, and do you feel that we have the optimal technical capability in the ministry in terms of staffing?
Yeah.
You want personnel or you want positions?
Personnel.
And we agreed to provide that a little while ago.
And on zero overtime, that's 03. I see only 10,000 in respect of monthly paid officers.
Yeah.
What happens if there's significant flooding over the weekend and whatnot? Is there provision for that?
Monthly paid officers do come out. They don't necessarily get paid overtime.
No.
Daily rated officers will get overtime. But monthly paid officers, they will normally come out as part of their normal routine.
Member for Couva South.
Very simply, I think you give a commitment to my colleague, Sarah Barataria, and you will break it down in terms of the districts and the vacant.
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
Member for St. Augustine.
Yes, I want to ask the Minister, with regards to overtime for daily rated workers, has the ministry taken a decision or given a directive for workers to reduce overtime, therefore they would not come out on weekends and after hours, even in cases where you have severe flooding or other issues that they should treat with, that they wait for the regular 8 to 4 on a Monday to Friday as far as possible to reduce your overtime?
The answer to that is no.
Item 006, Mechanical Services. Item 007, Maintenance. Member for St. Augustine.
Yes, mechanical services. Madam Chair, to the Minister. Minister, are you experiencing a shortfall in your requirements to upkeep the existing equipment within the ministry in-house from your mechanical department? Because there seems to be...
What item are we under? Just refer us to an item.
This has to do with the wage, salaries and cost of living. So I'm on wages and COLA.
Which one you're on?
But
You're
what
on
I'm
salaries,
asking...
there are two different. You're on wages and COLA, or you're on salaries and cost of living. Yeah. Which one? They're not the same.
01.
01. Thank you.
But 01 is personnel.
Yes.
01 is personnel, it's not it's not
There's no
equipment.
increase.
01 is personnel, it's not equipment. You asked about equipment.
Yes, no, I'm asking, and this is under mechanical services.
Right.
So there is no increase or decrease in the allocation for
we are on
salaries.
and I guess that's why we're confused.
So, yes.
1 minute, please. We are on item 007, maintenance. That's where we are. So I guess that's why we are all confused. We are at 007, maintenance, and I would ask all members. In the earlier part of this morning, members adopted a certain disposition, and we saw the benefits of how that worked. Okay, so we might be getting a little weary because we're going towards lunch, but I'd ask people to show themselves up, and let's keep with that. All right? We are under maintenance, item 007. Do you have a question, Member St. Okay, I'll give you an opportunity to recalibrate yourself if you're not ready.
Madam Chair, you went over mechanical very quickly and my hand was up. So I wanted to ask a question under 006.
Okay, so
if you would allow me.
Let's just try to be as quick as I am, but I had looked up. Okay? All right, so we just revert to 006.
I appreciate that very much.
And in the line item number, please?
01.
01, thank you.
There is no increase or decrease in this allocation. I want to ask the Minister, given the current cadre, the current number of employees, this Mechanical Services Department is responsible for the upkeep and the maintenance of mechanical equipment within the ministry. Is the Minister satisfied that the in-house mechanical work that is being done by the ministry is sufficient, given the challenges that you have in almost every Ministry of Works division, where even the corporations have to lend them trucks and backhoes on some occasions?
You're speaking on two different things. You're speaking on equipment and personnel. This line item they're dealing with is with personnel. Yes, we have sufficient personnel. If we're dealing with equipment, that will be under a different vote.
This is the personnel who upkeep the equipment in the mechanical department. So if you are satisfied with the personnel, okay?
Yes.
Couva North, are you under this or you've moved?
Under the same line item?
Yes?
Yeah.
006.
006,
yes.
01 salaries and cost of living allowance. Minister, can you advise if there's any vacant position under this line item?
Yes.
Any number of vacant positions?
Yes, there are, and we can provide it to you in writing if you require that.
So there are vacant positions, but
yes.
Just now when my colleague from St. Augustine was asking you about whether you have sufficient.
We have, yes. But
sufficient with vacant positions?
Yes.
So are these positions going to be removed from the structure?
There are different types of positions, all right? So it's just not like all you have is mechanics working. You have different positions, different levels of employees. So yes, there are vacancies at different levels. And like any other ministry, any other department, you'll like to have your full cadre. But again, we have to depend on the, to get where we want to be. So yes, there will be vacancies, but it not necessarily affects the operation of the fixing of the equipment as the member was trying to get at.
Thank you, Minister. Minister, line item 02, can you also advise if there are vacant positions under that line item also?
Sure. 02.
Member for Couva North, I don't know if it's because the member for Couva North is sitting in Couva South seat, so I now call on the member for Couva South. I hope it's not that seat being a bit infected.
Very much.
Okay, good. Member for Couva South.
I suspect it is the seat. I suspect.
I always implore my colleagues to be as cooperative as we can. Just a very general question, Minister, and you have different divisions, mechanical services, maintenance, drainage, and so on. You have any outstanding overtime or allowances and so on for the monthly paid and daily rated workers?
006.
Yeah, we're in that particular, but it's a general question
Well,
too.
you know how we do it here.
Yeah. they're all, you are up to date in terms of your payments, or are they outstanding?
But I thought you remember how we do it here.
Yes.
It's line by line.
And I told
Okay.
0304, Madam Chair, and 29 and 30.
Outstanding.
And you have the specific numbers that you may want to provide the meeting with now at some point in time?
At some point in time, if required.
And you intend to discharge those liabilities during this fiscal year?
With the best intentions, I always try.
And that you want to quantify the overall sum through your permanent secretary?
I may have to provide that to you at a later date.
Thank you.
Okay, so we can move on. Item 007, maintenance. Member for Couva North.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, this line item 02 was estimated in 2021 at 46 million. However, the revised estimate is 52.8 million. Can the Minister advise the reason for that significant increase in the revised estimate?
Yeah, we would have taken on additional staff at the end of 2020. Fiscal 2020, yes. So there's an increase in staff.
Can the Minister provide the number of staff that was recruited in 2021?
185, right? 2020. It was about 185, but I will furnish you.
Honourable Minister, can you advise us also if these positions were advertised, or what was the process utilized for the recruitment of this additional staff?
But there is a process at the ministry that have been existing for a long time, and that would have been the process used.
Can you provide us with a copy of that process in writing, please, Honourable Minister?
Sure.
Item 008, construction. Item 012, unemployment relief program. Member for Couva North.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, line item 01, salaries and cost of living allowances. Honourable Minister, can you advise if this line item is what is utilized to pay the persons that are recruited under URP on a continuous basis, regular?
Servants in the system.
And Minister, under this line item also, a letter was brought to my attention that was written by one Ms. Sharda Satram as constituency coordinator to the program manager, Mr. Parasram, advising Mr. Parasram with respect to notes and so forth coming, dealing with the employment and the recruitment of persons under this.
That's not under this.
What line
Monthly.
item is that?
Under 01, salaries.
No, that is...
Yes.
Salaries and cost of living allowance.
For monthly paid people.
Can the Minister advise if it is that Mr. Satram is employed under...
The line item.
Member.
That what he's asking is...
That is not under this vote. What you're referring to, yeah, the URP has two sides. You have the public servants. This is the public servants. What we're dealing here with is not that issue of the monthly paid in the contract officers. These are public servants that we're dealing with here. What you're referring to would have been the contract officers. That is under a different vote.
Oh, if you listen, if I may be allowed to ask the question,
sure.
Then your answer might be in line
Yeah.
with what I'm asking with. But you are assuming what I'm going to ask. What I'm asking is if Ms. Satram is employed under this vote or if she employed in any part of URP to be given instructions to Mr. Satram, and does she has any authority to give instructions to the URP program manager?
And again, this vote deals with public servants. Ms. Satram is not a public servant, and Ms. Satram is a civilian is a civilian. And the URP is an unemployment relief program, and anyone can recommend names for employment, anyone, including MPs on opposition constituencies, MPs from government constituencies, churches. However, the issue that you're trying to raise, I think the program director addressed it properly when he instructed that there's a process for hiring in URP. Again, Ms. Satram is not a public servant.
So, I just want members to remember what we engaged here in, and I just want to remind the minister, coming from his own words when he came here, is that he would not abuse his status as a guest. Okay, so, member for Maruga Tableland, member for Couva South.
So, Minister, there was a letter from... Can you confirm that?
Item 014, transport. Item 015, maritime services. Subhead 02, goods and services. Item 001, general administration. Member for Barataria Sanwan.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I'm on page 254, number 57, postage. I see that the minister was given $2,000 as an estimate for postage in 2021, and he spent no money. Is this because the minister has failed to respond to all of the letters? And I speak on behalf of my colleagues here. When we write to the minister, we have gotten no response from the ministry, indicating some of the concerns we have in our constituencies that fall under his remit and purview as minister to do repairs. So is this why the minister is not responding to our letters? Postage. He spent no money on postage.
Maybe the members are not checking their mailbox. I'll personally hand deliver it to them.
Minister, I feel you are not checking your mailbox.
I am
Member for Oropuch West.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am referring to line item 04, electricity. I saw an allocation, Mr. Minister, for $3 million in 2021, but an actual spend of $1.7 million. Can the minister indicate what caused this reduction in the spend for electricity?
Certifying outstanding bills. Unfortunately, we do have some outstanding bills to pay.
Can the minister then advise the value of the outstanding bills and for what period it has been outstanding?
I will submit that to you in writing, and that's why we are certifying the bills right now.
Thank you, Minister. One more question, if I may, Madam. Item 43, security services. I note that we had an estimate of $3.5 million for 2021, which is almost double what was there in 2020. The actual spend for 2021 was $1.76 million. The estimate for 2021 was $3.5, but you only spent $2.9 million in 2021. Can the minister advise, firstly, for what was the reason for the increase between 2020 and 2021? Because that may also advise us as to what is the reason for the increase now for 2022.
We did have some outstanding bills, and unlike the TNTech bills, we are doing the audit on certification of the bills.
Can the minister advise who the provider of your security services are? Who the providers are, and the values outstanding to them?
Sure, we have submitted that to you in writing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. At line item 08, I noticed there's a reduction there. Minister, can you indicate what will account for this reduction?
Is it lease rentals?
08.
Small reduction because we would have had some previous year's bills which were paid off in the last financial year.
Item 002, Highways. Member for Naparima.
Chair, I'm looking at item 17, training, and I see nothing was spent last year, and there's a minuscule allocation of $50,000. Is the minister satisfied that the technical officers in the Highways Division are apprised of the latest technologies in handling landslips and potholes? Because they seem to be using the same technologies over and over, and clearly they're not working. So, could the minister indicate whether that sum is sufficient to keep our staff, technical staff, upgraded? And I ask this in the context of we have repeatedly asked for geotechnical surveys, and wondering whether the lack of training is not affecting the capacity to deliver.
We have established an engineering forum where we have people actually coming in and lecturing to the staff, but we have also utilized the expertise of some of the foreign consultants in the country, where we have our local engineers and so working alongside them. So we are keeping up with the technology, and I can tell you, if you look at some of the projects that is being done, we are using all the new geotechnical ways of doing landslips, trying to be green in some areas, and I feel comfortable that our engineers are being trained on a regular basis.
Yeah. Minister, are I observe, and in Garth Road, in terms of the training, in Garth Road, they attempted to repair the bridge. And while they were repairing the bridge, it actually collapsed. And I'm just wondering whether they are utilizing the latest technologies, etc. But you seem to be assured that they are. So,
and based on the reports that we're getting especially our young engineers and so, that they are quite in tune to international standards.
Okay, item 08, rent. And I'm asking this in a general context. Every time I look at 08 rent, there is an automatic increase. It seems as if there is some, penchant for increasing rents. Could you explain the 198,000 in a climate when we are, short of funding, etc.? Why is this predisposition to it always increase? And I could go on and point the increases, but this will suffice. 198,000.
So if you look at the spend in 2020, the allocation in 2020, it's really is not a huge increase. However, it would be for arrears of rent, any increase. And I can give you the assurance that the Ministry of Works and Transport have been doing a significant job in reducing rents in most of our
But Minister, the maths not mathsing. I'll tell you why. In 2021, you spent 391,000. No. And now you say that out of the 598, 198 is for arrears, which means you have to deduct 198 from the 594 estimates, which means we'll be back in arrears again. So it seems, I feel you have to help me. I'm of the view that when it comes to rents, there's an automatic put on 200,000, put on 150,000.
Part of it will be for arrears, I said. Part of it will be for arrears.
Oropuch East.
Minister, I'm at 1-3 maintenance of vehicles, and there's a nice healthy increase there. I just wanted to ask whether or not this would include 2 vehicles, trucks that were purchased some years ago that you had announced were on a pothole fixing project. And the status of those, I think you know what I'm talking about, the status of the 2 trucks, they were purchased initially for the HDC and then later transferred to the Ministry of Works and Transport for an intensive program. I just want to ask the status of those.
The both trucks are operational from
and they're
time
working.
to time. Yeah, from time to time you will have minor problems with them, and I must say that VEMCOT have been doing a good job to keep them on the road.
And Minister, as we on that matter for constituents and so on, if it is that operating under any specific unit or division in the ministry that MPs can write or communicate with for emergency assistance in areas where they require minor works, but the minor work is significant for, the public.
Well, I mean, as we go along today, we will see that courtesy of the Minister of Finance, he did make some funding available to the ministry for some of these minor roads that are frequently used. And I mean, we should compliment him for that. Thank you.
Schwartz?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I am on line item 09, rent, lease of vehicles and equipment. I see 2020 we had an estimate of 94 million, in 2020 of 94 million, an estimate in 2021 of 94,000 actual spend in 2020, 90,000 estimate in 2021, but a $1.7 million proposed spend, a revised estimate for 2021. Can the Minister account for this drastic increase in the proposed expenditure, the revised estimate expenditure for 2021 from 90,000 to $1.7 million?
Okay, so we did ramp up work in these areas. And if you look at we're looking at the 09 here, the lease rental, we did ramp up the work, especially the silting works along the highway and so. And this is why I said the flooding issue in Trinidad and Tobago, no matter what sort of level of flooding we get, we do have a very quick runoff. And it all has to do with the amount of work. Most of these equipment that we use are rental equipment, which we use the CTB bonded rate for, unlike the past where you had emergencies work and people will just jump in and send you a bill after. All our rentals now are done using the CTB bonded rate list.
Minister, if I may then, since you did not budget for it in 2021, can the Minister provide or commit to provide in writing a list of the items, the pieces of equipment or vehicles rented and the supplier of those vehicles?
Sure.
Manzanella?
Thank you, Madam Chair, Honorable Minister. Line item 28, other contracted services. I see a whopping $35 million. Honorable Minister, what is expected in the new fiscal year with this $35 million?
We have earmarked so far 63 projects. So that money so far is earmarked for 63 projects.
Member for Couva North?
Thank you, Minister. Minister, line item 28, other contracted services. Minister, I wrote to you in January 2021 concerning the deplorable road condition in Couva North, and I highlighted some major works that need to be conducted within the constituency: the Orangefield Main Road, the Waterloo Main Road, the Couva Main Road, Factory Road to Orangefield, Perseverance Road, McBean Old Road, Southern Main Road, BC Corner to Isaac Junction, and etc. Minister, I must say a thank you to Ms. Bowen for acknowledging receipt of this letter on your behalf and indicating that inquiries will be conducted and feedback will be provided. However, Minister, I haven't seen any feedback nor works being conducted in these major roadways within the constituency of Couva North. Can you provide us with an update if it is that this $35 million budgeted for 2022 we will see some of these works being conducted?
As you said, if I could provide you, I will provide you.
Not at this time. You can't say at this time.
I can't.
Member for Barataria San Juan?
Minister, in response to your question from among line item 20 also, in response to your question from Kumoto Manzanella, where you earmarked 63 projects, can you just commit to put that in writing for us to let us know where those 63 projects are earmarked?
Read all these 63 projects at this time. I'll give it to you in writing. I have it here, but I don't think you want to miss lunch. So
I said
I'll send it to you in writing.
Yeah, that's why I asked. That is what I asked.
Member for Oropouche West.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would also like to build on that question. Minister, if you can provide a listing of the contracted services under line item 28 for 2021 by service provided and value and provider. So both
And
2021
you'll also
now.
get it by district as well.
Thank you very much.
Traffic management. Member for Couva North.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, line item 28. Honourable Minister, this was estimated in 2021 at 4.2 million. However, the ministry utilized
What is that?
an additional $20 million with the revised estimate at 24 million. Can you kindly explain to us the reason for this significant increase here?
Yeah, we would have had outstanding bills for contractors, traffic signal providers.
Traffic signal providers outstanding bill.
Member for Oropouche West.
Thank you. Minister, can you then provide a listing of, again, because you said these were arrears?
Yes.
Can you provide a listing of the names of the contractors, the name of the
Sure.
the project, and exactly what the value of the arrears were?
Sure.
Further, you are now estimating a $15 million cost for 2022. When you compare that with 2020, plus last year you said you had some arrears. Is this 2022 estimate include arrears, or do we have new projects going forward for which these services are being hired?
So we have some small arrears, and then it will comprise the new projects.
So, Minister, can you provide a list of the suppliers and the value of the arrears and the period for which these arrears have accumulated?
Sure.
Thank you. If I may move on to item 04, electricity. I note that you have, on average, $300,000 to $400,000 between 2020 and 2021 as your estimated cost for electricity, your estimated spend. But for 2022, your estimated spend is 3 times that. It's $1.6 million. Can the minister account for this increase in the allocation requested now for electricity?
So it's for arrears.
So, the minister, you are saying that your ministry is in arrears of a substantial sum. Can you advise the value of the sum in arrears and for what period?
Okay, we provide that in writing, but the ministry does have a lot of different divisions and departments. So I will provide to you in writing.
Thank you, Minister.
Item 004, Central Planning Unit. Item 005, Drainage. Member for Oropouche West.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am on line item 09, Rent, Lease, Vehicles and Equipment. Again, under drainage, I'm seeing a significant amount of expenditure. You budgeted 20 million in 2021, although you spent 31.8 the year before. You only budgeted 20. You then were forced to spend $35 million in 2021. But you're now budgeting 25 million in 2022. So you've dropped your estimated expenditure under this head by close to $10 million. I am from the constituency of Oropouche West, which, as you know, Minister, because I've written to you on several occasions, continuously floods. And here we see a decrease in your rental of vehicles and equipment. Can the minister account for this $10 million deficiency in the allocation?
Again, through you, Madam Chair, this is for the Silton program, and once the program is put forward, we will, from time to time, go back in the mid-year review if additional funding is needed. And also, we do carry the Silton under another vote, the vote 28. So, and if we need to wire money into this vote, based on the program put forward by different divisions, we normally would do that.
Just as a follow-up then, Minister, I thank you for your frankness in saying so. But if your estimate if your actual in the year before, in year 2020, was 31.9 31.8 million, and your revised spend in 2021 was 35 million. Why would you budget $10 million less? Is it that you are under budgeting in hope and aspiration that you appeal to the minister during the mid-year review for more funding?
We would have budgeted. I think this is the allocation that we got for that. And what I'm simply saying is that we do have a program, and if the program requires more funding, then we go back to the mid-year review, or we wire money from other areas into the vote.
Minister, are you satisfied with the allocation you have for the silting right now, which is why you're comfortable with this figure?
At the end of the day, we have to understand that the Minister of Finance can only give us from what he has. And what we try to do is to ensure that whatever money we get, we spend it in the right areas.
Of course. Minister, can I ask what your request was from the minister under this line item?
I would not have
especially
that.
since it regards to
I would not have
equipment?
that at this point in time. We could forward that here. We could forward that to you.
Thank you, Minister.
Member for Couva North.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I'd like to draw the Minister's attention to line item 28. Minister, you just indicated that you try your best to ensure that what is provided is utilized. However, what we are seeing here under this line item, other contracted services, in 2021, what was provided was 25 million for other contracted services under drainage, and only 13.6 was utilized. Minister, I recall writing you on the 4th of September 2020 concerning the cleaning of watercourse, cleaning of the Diana River. And I pointed out to you with pictures the importance of having this entire river cleaned, and not cleaned in a piecemeal manner, because when you leave vegetation inside the river, it causes bottlenecking of the flow of water, and it causes the water to back up. I also wrote you on the 11th of January indicating watercourses that travels through the Couva North constituency that needed to be cleaned, and I must say a special thank you to the Permanent Secretary at the Ministry and members of the Secretariat for acknowledging my correspondence and responding. I pointed out to you the importance of cleaning the Diana River, the Honda River, the Laquesa River, the Masala, the Caparo River, straight out to the sea. Because, Minister, if this cleaning works is not done straight out to the sea, what happens is all the water from Central comes down to Couva North, causing significant flooding to our residents. And in addition to these major watercourses, I pointed out to you the outfall in Waterloo, in Blackman Trace, in Wyerby, in Macbean, in John Persad, Johnny Lai outfall, the various outfalls that would fall under your responsibility to have these watercourses clean. However, what we are saying here is the 25 million was not utilized, only 13 million. So the funds were allocated, but it was not used. Can you kindly explain why it was not used and why these watercourses were not cleaned straight out to the sea?
Sure. As indicated before, there are several projects under the Drainage Division. And as you refer to the Diana River, there is a project going there, but it's not under this vote. We did indicate just a little while ago when we were dealing with the 09 that we were allocated $20 million, and we spent $34 million. The reason for that is that there are certain contracted projects under this vote item that if we feel that the work is not at a pace where we will utilize the money, then we transfer that money into the 09. And that is why we move from allocation of 20 million to 34.5 million, and we were able to do the desilting. The work that you're speaking about is done under a desilting program. This is for construction program. And what you will see here, yes, there's a spend of 13 million, but that does not mean, that simply means that the bills were not handed in time for this fiscal year. But if you look at the reduction in the spend here, you'll see it reflecting on the 09, the increase in the 09. So it's not that you didn't utilize the money here. You didn't utilize it for the construction project because of the pace it was going at. And there's an explanation for every project on it, why the bills were not supplied by the contractor on time for payment. It's only when the payment is received, then it will show up here. Right? So if we understand the way the system works, then you will see it's actually a balancing of it.
Thank
Member
you.
for Oropouche East. Member for Oropouche West.
Thank you, Madam.
I'll take you after Shagona East, I'll take you after.
Line item 96, fuel and lubricants.
Sorry?
Line item 96, fuel and lubricants, Minister.
Fuel and lubricants.
You had a $235,000 actual spend in 2020. You had an estimate of a similar type of figure, $223,000 in 2021, but you only spent $156,000. Can the Minister advise whether this has impacted on the ability of the Drainage Division to undertake the works required? Because in my constituency, as I've said before, I see a significant lack of engagement by the ministry.
Because the Drainage Division don't use our equipment for that. No, the answer is no.
So given that you had spent $156,000, you are now coming to ask for $250,000. If in 1 year you are satisfied that you spent $156,000 and you met what you think you met your obligations, why then do we now have a $100,000 increase?
Because during the last fiscal year, we did have a pandemic. Some of our equipment would not have been working for periods of time. Now, obviously, fuel and lubricants, when vehicles are down, they're not working, you will not be using the same amount of gas unless if you leave them on and nobody using them. So you will get a reduction in areas like that because maybe 3 or 4 months for the year, vehicles will not have been in operation.
Minister, I just refer you back in the same subhead to traveling and subsistence, and you would see that the expenditure for traveling and subsistence was the same. It was 1.7 million. So now you're saying that there was less traveling. As a result of that, you have a reduction, and now you have more traveling because you have more people going out. That math does not add up, sir.
The traveling allowance is for traveling officers.
And traveling officers would have been using these vehicles for which this allocation is made?
No, this fuel and lubricant is for equipment that is being used.
So, Minister,
So
you are saying because of the pandemic, the equipment was not used. Minister, my question remains whether this reduction then in the allocation in the use for 2021 would have affected the capability of the ministry to service the needs of the constituencies like mine, Oropouche West, because we do not find that the ministry has done sufficient in Oropouche West.
It was not used because of the pandemic. The equipment and so, I mean, it's public knowledge that at a certain time the country was on a lockdown because of the pandemic. So the equipment for that period will not have been requiring fuel and lubricants, and so that's why you have a reduction in that.
Can the minister provide then a listing of the equipment that would have utilized this fuel and lubricants under this head?
Sure.
Thank you, Minister.
Member for Chaguanas East.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, 09, rent, lease vehicles and equipment. Minister, can you provide a listing by expenditure and areas where these equipment would have been utilized during the fiscal year?
Sure.
And same for other contracted services, line item 28.
Sure.
Member for Couva North.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Madam Chair, I'd like to bring the Minister's attention back to line item 28, other contracted services. And Minister, in your explanation, you indicate construction projects and transfer from this line item to 09 with respect to the cleaning works in these watercourses. However, Minister, I have conducted several site visits with representatives from your ministry highlighting the need to refurbish and to upgrade the undercrossing 4 in Orangefield Main Road, Waterloo Main Road, 3 in Waterloo Main Road, McBean along the Southern Main Road by Green Door, In Union Village, there is some works need to be done there on that crossing there, the Perseverance Main Road, Calibre Main Road, and also the construction of box trains on Orangefield Main Road to Jerry Junction, Bank Village Main Road to Jerry Junction, Orangefield Main Road, Waterloo Main Road, Perseverance Main Road, Calibre Main Road, and in the McBean Old Road, the construction of these box trains along these water courses. However, Minister, what we're seeing here is monies from this line item, which you indicated that was to be utilized for these construction projects, not being utilized and transferred to 09. Can you indicate in the upcoming financial term, I see you have 25 million allocated there, if these works will be taken into consideration? Because the reason that the officials at the ministry who came with us on the site visit said that they were unable to have the projects was lack of funding. So can you advise if it is that we can see some of these works done in the upcoming financial year?
This money is allocated for specific projects, okay? And if at any point in time that project may be, take for instance that the COVID shutdown, the projects would have been delayed, then the money will be transferred to other projects where you probably have a shortfall in funding. And so I understand what you said about they visiting with you, and once they visit, then obviously the ministry will prioritize based on the availability of funding. And as you're aware, and I'm happy to hear that of all the members of parliament, you have been getting all the responses from my secretary, right? Okay, so once a project is identified, it is then based on a listing, because we operate by districts, not necessarily by constituency. And then the engineers will determine which project they will do at what point in time based on the funding that is available.
Member for Cairns Central.
Madam Speaker, Madam Chairman,
no, I promise.
I'm trying to get the minister's attention, please.
Make a buffet. You see, you're making me get buffet.
Yes, please. Trying to get the minister's attention.
Yeah,
He's
sure.
preoccupied with another conversation. I keep hearing the minister say projects. And we are dealing with, Madam Speaker, recurrent expenditure. Can you indicate whether these projects would have been projects from previous ASDP? I hear you keep saying projects and projects, and we're dealing with recurrent expenditure.
We do projects under recurrent expenditure. As a normal.
Item 006, mechanical. Member for Barataria-Sanon.
Thank you very much. Minister, under 09, rent, lease, vehicles and equipment, the spend of $34.9 million for fiscal 2021. Can you provide us with the suppliers, the project, and the cost paid to the suppliers in writing?
Go on, he's asked for a comprehensive thing on 09. No?
I do apologize. Just to be sure.
Item, I'll tell you something, Member for Barataria-Sanon. I think Hansard and the Committee of Assurances makes abundantly sure for us. Okay? 006, mechanical services. 007, maintenance. 008, construction. 009, environmental health and safety unit. 010, traffic warden unit.
Madam Chairman, I just wanted to draw the committee's attention to 08 under traffic warden unit.
010. 010.
Yes,
Okay, yes.
010. I heard my friends on the other side continuously saying that with the rent, lease of office accommodation and storage, that there is always an increase. So I just wanted to draw their attention to this one, where there is a significant decrease of $1 million. There is no question, just right.
Item 011, program monitor and evaluation unit. Item 012, URP. Item 014, Transport Division. Item 015, Maritime Services. Item 016, Procurement Unit, Subhead 03, Minor Equipment Purchases. Item 001, General Administration. Item 002, Highways. Item 003, Traffic Management. Item 004, Central Planning Unit. Item 005, Drainage. Item 006, Mechanical Services. Item 007, Maintenance. Item 008, Construction. Item 009, Environmental Health and Safety Unit. Item 010, Traffic Warden Unit. Item 011, Program Monitoring and Evaluation Unit. Item 012, Unemployment Relief Program. Item 014, Transport. Item 015, Maritime Services. Item 016, Procurement Unit. Subhead 04, Current Transfers and Subsidies. Item 001, Regional Bodies. Item 003, United Nations Organizations. Item 005, Non-Profit Institutions. Item 007, Households. Yes, member for Oropouche East.
Thank you very much, Chair. Just some clarity and advice from the Minister. At 09 debit card system for the URP employees, could you just give a status of this project, bearing in mind there's a $700,000 increase as well towards the project?
Negotiating the contract now, right? Right. We are at this point in time renegotiating that contract with the provider, which is FCB. So we are at the point now where we are renegotiating that contract with FCB to try to get the rates down.
Sure.
008, Subsidies. Member for Oropouche East.
Again, Minister, at 01, Port Authority, contract towards deficit and operation of coastal steamers. Could you just give some explanation for the need for the $13 million increase, I believe it is? The status of this project as well.
This is what All right, this is to provide for infrastructure.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
For the operation of the ferry service.
Member for Couva South.
009.
Okay, so item 009, other transfers. Member for Couva South.
Thank you very much. Minister, 05 water taxi service, you continue. Yeah. Could you tell us what you are going to do with that $53 million in 2022?
This is to meet the operational expenditure for the water taxi service, such as salaries and wages, statutory and medical expenses, repairs and maintenance to the fleet of vessels, and other operational expenses.
Traffic Enforcement Center unit, you allocated initially, or you had an allocation of $25 million approximately. You spent only $9.5 million, and you have an allocation now in 2022 of $20 million. What is the status of this unit and what you intend to do with this $20 million that you are seeking?
The unit is now fully operational. The traffic center, it went live with the U-turn system on May 26, 2020. And we know the responsibility of the center. It's to supply, they supply the ticket books, the consumables to all law enforcement agencies. And the increases because at this point in time, the unit is fully operational.
Member for Princestown.
Thank you, Madam. Madam, on the same line item, water taxi 05. Minister, in light of the incident that occurred regarding a water taxi, you gave a very comical response regarding that the opposition didn't maintain the water taxis. Can you indicate in this financial year gone, how much money from this allocation was used to maintain water taxis?
It would be a part of this vote. I'll have to indicate to you how much, but as you can see, we have, our water taxis now are working, and you have no major challenges at this point in time. But I'll have to separate how much was for operational and how much was for maintenance fees.
So you're giving the undertaking that you'll provide this information in writing?
Yeah.
Member for Oropouche West.
Okay. Yeah.
Ask and answer, ma'am.
Member for Couva North.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, Honourable Minister, can you advise, perhaps in writing, the number of persons that has utilized this service for the last financial year?
Sure.
Item 011, transfers to state enterprises. Member for Barataria San Juan. Member for Oropouche West.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to swing to draw the Minister's attention to line item 24. NIPDEC, roadworks, 500 million under PURE. It's been a consistent figure of 25,100,000. Can the Minister advise or provide a listing for 2021 and proposed for 2022, where and which roads would be considered under this line item?
Speaker, this is for loan payment. This is for loan payment.
Wonderful. Then
No,
can
sorry,
the
this is loan repayment.
Sorry?
This is for loan repayment. The PURE work is another vote. This is for this.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
So can the Minister then advise where you took a loan for $500 million, it would have been based on an estimate of works that you were proposing to do using this $500 million. Can the Minister provide a listing of the road works that were provided
No, this would have been
that
previous
form the
financial year.
basis of this loan?
This would have been 2017. Could we go back to 2017? Are we allowed to go back?
No, the loan has been drawn down over a period of time.
Yeah.
So maybe if the member wants it for projections for the year coming, I'll allow that,
So
but
I
certainly
can
not
give you a
overly
projection
life of the loan.
to go back, because this is repayment of loans.
Sure, no problem.
Member for Kamuta Mansanilla.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you, Honourable Minister, line item 01, VEMCOT. Honourable Minister, is it 10 million? Is it sufficient for the amount of vehicles to be repaired by this corporation?
VEMCOT actually charge a fee to repair their vehicles. This is not for. This is a subvention that they get. VEMCOT will charge different agencies or the public if they bring their vehicles. That's where they get their revenue from. This is simply a subvention from the Minister of Finance to VEMCOT. It doesn't go for the actual buying parts for vehicles or fixing vehicles and things like that. When you carry your vehicle to VEMCOT, you pay them. If the ministry sends their vehicles to VEMCOT, the ministry pays them.
And the second part of the question is, are there any outstanding arrears with regards to this line item?
But it's a subvention. So there are no outstanding arrears.
None.
It's a subvention. We get this from the Minister of Finance.
Member for Shagon, member for Oropouche West.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Line item 28, similar question for line item 32, NIDCO, operation and maintenance of the MV Galleons Passage. I see an increase of $11.8 million. Can the Minister advise the status of the Galleons Passage? Is it functional? Is it working? Does it need more repairs done? I am advised that the Galleons Passage has broken down for 2 weeks.
The Galleon Passage is functional and working. The thing about it is that we have a surplus of vessels now, sailing. So yes, the answer is yes, the vessel is working.
Can the Minister answer the similar question for sub-item 32, NIDCO operation and maintenance of the HSC Buku. Is that fully functional and operating?
To my knowledge, yes, all the vessels are operational and working, and we do have maintenance, preventive maintenance, and so these vessels, these new vessels are on warranty, and if there are any challenges with them, the manufacturers are on hand to ensure that the vessels are
Minister,
working as expected.
Thank you, Minister. I just want a very clear undertaking from you, a statement that both the Galleon's Passage and the HSC Buku, as of today, are fully functional and operating between Trinidad and Tobago.
Like any mechanical vessel or any vehicle, from time to time they will pick up challenges. My assurance to you is that the 2 new vessels are under the manufacturer's warranty, and if there are any challenges with them, the cost of that will be for the manufacturer. The APT
Understood.
James, that's now the the Buku Reef, not the Buku Reef, the Galleon Passage, because of the fact that we have these 2 new vessels will be laid up in the water, and only when it's required that it will come out. During that time, they will do whatever maintenance that needs to be done.
So as at October 15th...
And then we also have the Spirit, which is there, and the system that they use now is that once the vehicles are not required, they will continue to do preventative maintenance on them.
So as at October 15th to date, you are confirming that
Remember,
the
you've
Buku
asked that
is functional?
question 3 times already.
Yes, ma'am. I'm
Member
going
for
somewhere with it.
Barataria San Juan.
And I think I
I
should
am
just
going somewhere.
clarify it.
Member for Barataria San Juan.
Thank you. I'm on line item 31 and 32, operation and maintenance of the APT James and the Buku Reef. Minister, can you advise who is the contractor for the maintenance of these vessels?
31 and 32?
Yes.
These 2 vessels are under warranty at this point in time.
Yes.
And you would recognize that after the predicament where you had vessels in this country that was not maintained, the government did go out for international tender for a ship management company, which was a public tender. So we do have a ship management company operating the vessels, and these are new vessels, so any critical maintenance is done by the manufacturers.
Member for
So,
Oropouche East.
Ma'am, sorry.
I'll come back to you. Member for Oropouche East.
Minister, item 30, repayment of $300 million, that line there. There was an estimate for 2021 that was not revised, $10,500,000. So presumably, this has been paid off, the loan. Could we get a list of the $300 million, who were paid to, for what property, and the value of those properties?
No, this loan...
There's a loan.
It's a loan,
There's a loan
repayment.
payment. This is a loan payment.
Yeah, but there's no budgeted figure for
Because
2022, so...
It's now handled by the Ministry of Finance directly.
So it has been moved from the Ministry of Works to the
Yes.
Ministry of Finance?
Yes.
But it hasn't been stated here as that. Could I ask another question then?
Well, remember, I think this is since 2021. Maybe that's why the note is not there.
Okay, but
Yeah?
he's saying that the loan has not been paid off. It has been moved for
I said
accounting
it has been
purposes.
transferred, that has been transferred to the Ministry of Finance.
Yeah.
3.
And my question was simply if we can just have a list of the property owners and the amount paid. That's all.
Yeah, we did not handle the loan matter. So I think the Ministry of Finance would be better to answer that.
Okay, could I ask another question?
Sure.
Please.
Yes. Minister, just to clarify on 31 and 32 that my colleague raised, there's a ship management company that is managing these 2 vessels, and you are budgeted $45 million and $50 million respectively for those companies, foreign companies, to manage. Okay, then clarify, please.
No, this is for the operational aspect of the vessel, fuel, staff on the vessel and things like that. This is more fuel and so.
So this is more fuel and
Yes,
so
the
on.
operation side of the vessels.
$50 million for that. Okay.
So the Minister of Finance wants to assist with line item 30, Oropuchis.
Yes. As you will see, member, there was no expenditure in 2021 and there's no provision in 2022. This is because the loan repayments on this item have been transferred to the Ministry of Finance. But on what? There's no item.
On the $300 million the loan was taken for to pay property owners, the list of the properties.
The line item is the loan payment, not the loan itself.
But what you are paying is a loan.
I don't think you understand. We went through this last night, you know. This
repayment
is a loan
of $300 million is clear. You are repaying $300 million that you collected. So there was no loan.
Madam Speaker, there is no allocation for it. Why are you asking about something
There
that
was
has
a
no
loan of
allocation?
$300 million. In our book, we said 2021, there were estimates $10,500,000. There was no revised estimate, incidentally. All I'm saying is, could you tell us where the $300 million go on? That's all.
I'll try again. In 2021, there was no expense. Madam Speaker, they could bang all they want. In 2021, there was no expenditure. There is no allocation in 2022. And furthermore,
ghost money?
Madam Speaker, why do they behave like this? And
We
furthermore,
want to know how many people benefited from that.
Member,
you can't raise your hand.
Hoover.
I still
So,
talking.
just 1 minute, Minister. Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I will repeat. There is no expenditure in 2021. There is no provision in 2022. The reason being that it was originally anticipated that the repayment of this loan, the money for the repayment, would be in the Ministry of Works appropriation. It was transferred to the Ministry of Finance. So I repeat, no expenditure in 21, no provision in 2022, and this is a loan payment. So if you want to know the interest rate on the loan, how many payments it will be, I can answer that, but you cannot on this. There's been a ruling on this. You cannot ask about the parent loan.
Item. Member for Barataria, San Juan.
Thank you very much. Ma'am, I just want to go back on line item 31 and 32.
Yes.
If you add the both figures there, you get about $95 million for the operational maintenance of the APT James. The minister said that this would have been for operational cost.
When you add which two figures?
The 45 million and the 50 million. I'm on 31 and 32.
You said 31 and 32?
Items 31 and 32, yes.
Right. APT James is not 31 and 32. APT James is 31 and the Buko is 32.
Yes, ma'am.
So maybe you need to restate what you said. Yes.
So I'm looking at the two vessels together,
Yes.
related. So if you add the figure for the both vessels, you would get a figure of about $95 million for operation and maintenance of those boat vessels.
Right.
Minister, you said that is for the daily operation of the vessels. But then there's also a contribution that we just dealt with of $269 million for the vessels under subsidies. So can you just provide some clarification with the distinction in these two line items as compared to the contribution towards the deficit for the operation of these vessels?
Just to remind the member that we operate in Trinidad the APT James, the Boko Reef, the Spirit, the Guardian Passage, and we also have the cargo vessel, which is the Cargo Star. So there are several other vessels operating in Trinidad. I think for the first time in the history of this country, we have 4 passenger vessels that can work the sea bridge, and a cargo vessel that can carry way more than the capacity that is required. So this 95 million you're seeing here is for these 2 vessels, plus we have 3 additional vessels which is handled under the port.
So the subsidy would be for the other vessels, and this 95 million will be for just the APT James and the Boko Reef. All right,
Yes.
I'm clear with that. Now, the International Ship Management Company that you spoke of for maintenance, earlier on you said that is also still on 31 and 32, ma'am. Minister, you said that is for major maintenance. Now,
Which one? 45, 31 or 32? Which
31
one?
and 32.
But I didn't hear the minister say that this is for major maintenance.
The line item is operation and maintenance. And
Mr. Speaker, if
So
Madam Speaker.
recall what was said before and I'll come back to you. Member for Couva North.
Thank you.
I'll give you an opportunity. I'll come back. Member for Couva North.
What he's trying to do is to get the...
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I would like to draw the Minister of Works and Transport and the Minister of Finance attention to line item 30. Clearly, Madam Chair, the maths is not mathsing because I am looking at current transfers and subsidies under the Ministry of Finance, and there is no transfer of this line item to the Ministry of Finance. And we are talking about $300 million being paid to Tobago property owners, and the minister is refusing to account to how this money is actually being spent. This $300 million loan is being paid out to persons in Tobago. So is this a slush fund for campaign purposes? We need answers. And the purpose of this committee is for the minister to answer and account for how the monies are being spent.
And while that is so, it must be in a particular order under particular rules. Okay? So I will allow the minister to answer based on the assertions, but it's not that we are throwing away the procedure of dealing with the line item and the relevance to the line item. Okay? Minister of Finance.
Firstly, what the member said is simply untrue. That is a figment of his imagination. And secondly, there have been regular press releases issued by myself and the Chief Secretary in Tobago. As land acquisition continues, we issue releases, we give full particulars of the amount of money spent. Madam Speaker, I would like to speak without interruption from Oropouche East. I know he thinks he's the Parliament clown, but he has to stop this. I would like
Madam
to finish.
Chair, all I'm asking is where the money gone, you know. That's all I'm
finish.
asking, and if you don't have it and he can provide it in
I am
writing,
answering
we will
the
appreciate
question.
it.
I am not being allowed to answer because you keep interrupting. Because you know what you're saying is not true. There have been regular press releases by myself and the Chief Secretary, keeping the public up to date on a regular basis as land acquisition takes place in Tobago for the new terminal, with the amount of money spent, the number of parcels that have been acquired out of this facility. This was $300 million that was borrowed and placed in an account, and as land acquisition takes place for particular parcels, money is drawn down to pay the owners. That is in the public domain, has been in the public domain for over 1 year.
Provide the list, Minister. You must provide the list in the interest of transparency, accountability, and good governance.
Member for Barataria Sanwan. Member for Barataria Sanwan, are you ready to ask your question or do I move on?
Ma'am, you can move on.
Thank you. Subhead 06, current transfers to statutory boards and similar bodies. Honourable members, we will now move on to the draft estimates of revenue and expenditure of statutory boards and similar bodies and of the Tobago House of Assembly. 39, Airports Authority of Trinidad and Tobago, subhead 01, personal expenditure, item 001, general administration. Page 365. Item 002, passenger and cargo terminals. Item 003, airport operations. Item 004, runways, taxis, ground and car parks. Member for Oropouche East.
Minister, just to clarify on this matter of runway taxis, ground and car parks, does the airport authority Is the Airport Authority involved with that scandal in Jamaica recently when the bridge was removed from Caribbean Airline? Is that payments from the Airport Authority or Caribbean Airline that caused that debacle in Jamaica a few days ago?
What line item is that?
We are under item 004, runways, taxis,
grounds, car
ways,
parks.
grounds, and car parks.
You
No,
remember the passengers that
Madam
were
Chair,
up
that's
and
a
down?
Caribbean airline issue, not the Airport Authority.
Okay, sure.
Item 005, security. Subhead 02, goods and services. Item 001, general administration. Member for Barataria Sanma.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Minister, I'm on line item 09, rent, lease, vehicles and equipment. Minister, we had a spend of about $4.1 million in 2021, and I'm seeing a massive increase of 17 million. So now you're allocated to spend 21.6 million on this item. Can you give a reason for this drastic increase in the expenditure?
Yeah, because it's anticipated that we will return to normalcy in 2022. So if you go back to the 2020, you'll see that the actual was close to 16 million. But because of the slowdown and the shutdown in the aviation sector, I mean, so far you would have had a significant reduction. But we're expecting that things will go back to a new norm.
Sure.
Member for Old West.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Same line item. Would the Minister undertake to provide in writing a listing of the equipment and vehicles to be rented or leased under this line item and the provider?
Sure.
Thank you.
Item 002, passenger and cargo terminals. Item 00, member for Old West.
Thank you for recognizing me, Madam. Line item 04. I see the Minister proposes a $2 million increase for payment for electricity. Can the Minister advise whether this is for payment of arrears?
Yeah, so as now that, again, now that we go back to a new norm, and the operations at the airport is expected to go back to normal, you will have areas that will be utilized, more electricity and so being utilized at the airport. You will see increases because you're coming out from a year when the airport was virtually shut off a significant portion for 18 months basically. And during the time while they were open, the time was significantly cut. So you will find these other increases.
Thank you.
Item 003, airport operations. Item 004, runways, taxiways, grounds and car parks. Item 0, member for Oropouche East.
This one I was.
Okay.
Reading.
Item 005, security, member for Oropouche East.
Thank you very much. Minister, at 28 other contracted services, there's a significant drop from 2020 actual of 27.6 million to 5.6 million for 2022. Could you just indicate what would have been the reason for this 27.6 million in 2020?
In 2020, yeah. Okay. There was some payments for the APC chaos in the airport at that time.
What payment to
That payment
to who?
I'll have to provide you.
Okay,
with
you can provide,
yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
We can get a breakdown for the 27.6 million, that'll be fine.
Subhead 03, minor equipment purchases. Item 001, general administration. Subhead 04, current transfers and subsidies. Item 007, households. Item 009, other transfers. 50, Port Authority of Trinidad and Tobago. We now at page 380. Subhead 01, personal expenditure. Item 001, General Administration. Member for Oropouche West.
Thank you, Madam. Minister, I note you have a $5.7 million increase in 01 salaries and cost of living allowance. Can the Minister account for this significant increase under this head?
Well, where do you have that increase? Yeah. What line item are we on there again?
01 salaries.
Salaries and
You went from actual 32 million in 2020 to 38 million in 2021, but you're now adding another 5.7 million in 2022.
you have budgeted for the proposed increases there, right? Yeah. These are budgeted for the proposed increases.
Thank you.
Member for Cuba, no?
Okay, yeah.
Member for Cuba South.
Thank you. Minister, you indicated that this $5.7 million was based on for proposed increases.
It's budgeted.
Budgeted, excuse. The last collective agreement that was signed between the Port Authority and the Seamen and Waterfront Workers Trade Union, was that fully implemented?
My information is that although it was signed in 2015, it did not conform to the procedures as laid down by the CPO. So my information is still before the CPO, the Ministry of Finance.
So what are you telling this meeting is that an investigation has been initiated by the Minister of Finance as it relates to a signed collective agreement under the Industrial Relations Act of Trinidad and Tobago?
No, I can't speak for the Minister of Finance on any investigation. I think the Minister of Finance had to clear the air on that. All I can say is that I had meetings at the Ministry of Finance with the CPO on this matter, and we did get legal opinions as to whether the process was done in accordance to the procedure that it should follow. But that matter is before the CPO at this time, and I did hear the Minister of Finance indicate in the budget that he have given instructions to the CPO to start negotiations, and I'm sure that that will be one of the negotiations that will be on the table, because it have been around for a while.
Well, Minister, I hear you. I'm a bit baffled and confused that an agreement that was signed will be renegotiated. It clearly sends a signal that this government is interfering with the free and fair collective bargaining process of Trinidad and Tobago. And it doesn't augur well for the collective bargaining process that the Minister has informed the budget in his budget presentation that he has instructed the CPO to commence negotiations for all outstanding agreements. It sends a very clear signal that there will be a subversion of the free and fair collective bargaining process.
And I mean, just
02, Engineering Division. Item 004, Marine Division. Member for Chaguanas West. Member for Oropouche West.
Thank you. And cost of living allowance. You have a revised estimate of in 2021 of $1 million, but no spend proposed in 2022. Can the Minister advise whether the Marine Division is proposing to be shut down?
okay, I mean, most of the people in this unit would have been transferred to other areas.
So this division then no longer exists?
We still have this Marine Division.
We still have the division, but it's accounted under other areas.
Right, so the division still exists, but is accounted for in other in other areas.
So shouldn't there be a notification indicating that in your explanatory notes, Minister? That the persons that were catered for last year, last fiscal finished 1 month ago.
Okay. I note what you're saying.
Thank you very much,
Yeah.
Minister.
Item 005, Wharves Division. Item 006, Cruise Ship Complex. Member for Oropouche West.
Thank you, ma'am. Just for some analysis now, Minister. I note on 01, Salaries and Cost of Living Allowance, we have an increase proposed of $1.9 million under Salaries and Cost of Living Allowance.
Why we have that?
But I also note that under 05, under government's contribution to NIS, there is in fact a reduction of the government's contribution to NIS by $28,200. My question, Minister, is given that there's an increase in salaries and cost of living, should there not have been a parallel or similar sort of increase in the government's contribution to NIS?
I'm sorry. All right, so again, the salaries and cost of living allowance would have been a budget for an increase.
Yes, Minister. So you're budgeting an increase of $1.9 million, but you're budgeting for a decrease in the expenditure for NIS. NIS, your government's contribution to NIS should increase.
The NIS at this rate will be fixed, right? Yes, the contribution will be fixed at that rate. So, but I will take note of what the point that you make there.
I appreciate that, Minister, because otherwise the maths would not be.
No, well, not necessarily, because if you still find yourself in the same bracket, then there would not be an increase in the NIS. But again, I'll check that.
Thank you, Minister.
Subhead 02, Goods and Services, item 001, General Administration. Member for Oropouche West.
Thank you. Minister, I draw your attention to line item 23, fees. In 2020, you had an actual spend of $1.9 million, with a revised estimate in 2021 of $4.4 million. But I notice you have now for 2022 a projected increase to $12.7 million, an increase by $8 million. Can the minister provide an explanation as to what fees he expects will be coming his way in 2022, which would warrant an $8 million increase in the allocation?
Sure. There's a legal increase. Yeah, you wanted a detail of it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Member for Couva North.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, to the Honourable Minister, line item 23, fees. Can the Minister provide for us also in writing a breakdown of the fees that were paid out in 2021?
Sure.
How that $4.4 million was spent?
Sure.
Member for Couva South.
This allocation will be utilized as it relates to the government's policy in relation to the restructuring of the Port Authority?
No. These are settlements.
Member for Oropouche West.
Thank you. Minister, just to be very clear with regards to the request that we want for the information with regards to line item 23 for fees, if you could provide for us a breakdown, not just of the type of fees, but by the beneficiary of the payment. We'd like to get the names of the persons who are benefited.
Well, I think this is the same question, member for
Couva North.
Couva North Act. So, yes, you will get that.
Thank you.
Member for Chaguanas West, did I see? No? Okay, fine. Item 002, Engineering Division. Item 004, Marine Division. Item 005, Wharves Division. Item 006, cruise ship complex. Subhead 03, minor equipment purchases. Item 001, general administration. Member for Couva North.
Ma'am, I am referring to item 006, line item 21. May I?
We had item 001, general administration. Item 002, engineering. Item 005, wharves division. Item 006, cruise ship complex. Subhead 04, current transfers and subsidies. We are now on page 384. Item 007, households. Item 009, other transfers. 52, Public Transport Service Corporation. We are now going to page 400. Subhead 01, personal expenditure. Item 001, general administration. Member for Couva North.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, line item 01, salaries and cost of living allowance. Can the Honourable Minister advise the number of vacant positions currently exist?
Okay, I'll furnish you with that information.
And can you also give us a breakdown of the current warm bodies?
Sure.
Can we move on, Member for Governor? Item 002, vehicles and equipment maintenance. Member for Governor.
Line item 02. Minister, can you also provide the same?
Sure.
Item 007, property development services. Item 008, transit express commuter services. Subhead 02, goods and services. Item 001, general administration. Member for Oropuch West.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I refer the Minister to line item 23 with regards to fees. Minister, you've had an increase in fees from 2.3 million actual spend in 2020 to 11 million revised estimate and now 15 million estimate for 2022. So within 2020 to 2022, there's been a substantial increase from 2 million to 15 million projected for 2022. Can the Minister advise, firstly, what were the items which constituted the expenditure items for fees in fiscal 2021 and proposed for fiscal 2022?
Okay, so you have the ICT consultant to assist IT, the future needs against existing infrastructure, IR consultant, tribunals, quantity services, architectural services would be needed within the department to assist in the development of scope for other project management functions, legal fees, inclusive of claims and legal representation fees, and SEC penalties.
Excellent. Minister, can you provide then a list of each beneficiary for 2021 and proposed 2022?
Sure.
Thank you.
Item 005, Port of Spain Transit Center. Item 006, Para Transit Unit. Item 007, Property Development Services.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Member for Oropuch West.
Under Property Development Services 007, I refer to line item 28. We have had no estimates for 2020, no actual spend in 2020, no estimates for 2021, but I see a $23 million projected expenditure for 2022 under other contracted services. Can the Minister provide some clarity as to what,
Sure.
what exactly this $23 million is proposed to be spent
All
on?
right. Madam Chairman, through you, there seemed to be a little typo error here. The 23 million should actually be under the security services, right? Yeah, so if you look at it, it's just a typo.
It's a typo?
Yeah, that's exactly where it should be.
Thank you, Minister.
Member for Cuba North.
Thank you, Madam. That line item 43, security services, the actual spend for 2020 was 15 million. However, if it is that there's a typo, that would indicate that we have moved from 15 million to 23 million. Can the Minister account for this increase in the spending for security services at PTSC?
21, that's 20. No, I think again, you're reading it wrong. The 15 million is 2020. 2021, the actual spend was almost 22, 21.8.
I don't
And
think
now
I'm
we're
reading
going
it.
to 23. So,
Okay, I don't think I'm reading it wrong, Minister. If we can go to line item 43,
right.
security services,
Right.
the actual spend for 2020 was 15.1 million.
Right.
What is being estimated for 2022, you indicate, is the 23.033 million.
Because-
Is that correct?
Yes, but
What
you
I'm asking is we are moving from an actual spend of 15 million to 23 million. Can you kindly explain why that significant increase in security services?
In 2021, you had 21. So in 2020, you had 15.1. In 2021, you had 21.8. So you're moving from 21.8 to 23.3. So it's not you're moving from 15 to, so over the period of time, yeah, you would have had that increase. So if you want an explanation from 21.8, 22 to 23, I could get that for you.
Thank
but
you.
It's not, as you said, from 15 million to 23 million.
Well, 15 million
was
is the actual spend from
2020. 2020, yes.
Right, so from 2020, we move from 50 million. Moving on to line item 16, contract employment. Minister, can you provide us with a breakdown in writing of these contract employment for 2021?
Sure.
Right, the positions and the remuneration packages associated. And line item 21, repair and maintenance of building. There was a revised estimate of $6.7 million for 2021. Can you also provide us in writing a breakdown of how the 6.7 million was utilized?
Sure.
Member for Oropouche West.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Minister, you indicated that there was a typo on the item 28, other contracted services. Can the Minister then confirm that there was no expenditure under this item in 2020, 2021, and proposed 2022?
We don't have. Sorry? At this point in time, the answer is yes.
Thank you.
Item 008, Transit Express Commuter Service. Member for Couva North.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I'd like to refer the Minister's attention to line item 28. The actual spend under this line item was 21.4 million in 2020. It has increased in 2021, revised estimates to 44.8 million, which is also being allocated for the upcoming fiscal term. Can the Minister kindly explain what that 44.8 million was utilized for in the last fiscal term?
Sure. That represents a provision for the Ministry of Education School Transport Service vote. The vote is utilized to pay school transport providers.
Can the Minister advise if there's any outstanding arrears?
Remember, PTSC basically is a conduit for the Ministry of Education. So any arrears will be at the Ministry of Education, not at the PTSC.
But the payment under this line item is made to the service providers or to the Ministry of Education?
The Ministry of Education pays that to the Ministry of Education pays that to PTSC, and PTSC disperses the funds.
PTSE dispersed to the service providers.
Right, but the
So
funding is provided by...
Can you advise if on the PTSE end, if there are service providers out there that are waiting on payment at this point in time?
Yes, we do have some outstanding.
However, I see the entire amount was utilized for 2021, which is the 44 million was utilized.
Yeah.
And if we have outstanding payment, it was budgeted for 44 million, the same amount has been budgeted for again. Where are you going to get the funds to pay that outstanding?
The funds come from the Ministry of Education on that matter.
So you're expected to see something in the mid-year review? All right, Minister, can you also provide us in writing the amount of service providers that are being owed and how much is being owed to them?
Sure.
Subhead 03, minor equipment purchases, item 001, general administration. Subhead 04, current transfers and subsidies, item 007, households, item 009, other transfers. 57, Trinidad and Tobago Civil Aviation Authority, we're going to page 413. Subhead 01, personal expenditure, item 001, general administration. Subhead 02, goods and services, item 001, general administration. Member for Kamuto Manzanilla.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you, Honorable Minister, line item 23, fees. You can clearly see there's a discrepancy from 2020 actual to 2021 estimates of 4.5 million. Honorable Minister, can we get a breakdown of fees for 2021 and also in 2022 estimates you see an increase of 1.6 million, which reached to 6.1 million. So can we get a breakdown of fees for 21 and 22?
Yeah, sure.
Subhead 03, minor equipment purchases. Item 001, general administration. Subhead 04, current transfers and subsidies. Item 001, regional bodies. Item 004, international bodies. Item 007, households. Honorable members, we'll now move on to the draft estimates of development program. Subhead 09, development program, consolidated fund. We are at page 106. Item 001, pre-investment. Item 003, economic infrastructure. Honorable members, item 003 spans 6 pages. Therefore, I will also announce the project groups. A, drainage and irrigation. Member for Tabakit.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm looking at line item 001, major river clearing program. We estimated $10 million for 2021 and only $1.6 million was expended. So if the minister can give us an indication of what happened, given how important the clearing of major rivers are to ensuring that there's limited flooding incidents in this country.
Sure. Through you, Madam President. Madam Chairman. This project is a project that is being conducted in the Cairns River. The project entailed the rebuilding of the banks and the silting of certain parts of it, and also the supply of 3 mobile pumps. The physical work on the project have been completed. However, the drainage division does have some challenge with the contractor in the supply of the pumps. The drainage department indicated that the pumps that were supplied were not the pumps that were the specs of the pump were different to what was that they should be. So payment for the contractor on that project. The project is still not completed. However, the physical work have been completed, and the ministry are now in discussions with the contractor in terms of the 3 pumps. Those 3 pumps, as I said, are mobile pumps, so they were not pumped necessarily for that project, but they were pumps that you can move around in the country. The pumps are here, but the drainage division is not satisfied with the quality of the pumps. So that is why you have this spent there, not to the point where it should have been, because what you see here is actually money that was paid on the project. If we were satisfied with the pumps, then the full amount would have been utilized.
Member for Tabakis?
So therefore, the $12 million is anticipating that you would be satisfied with the pumps and therefore pay out $12 million in fiscal 22.
No, it doesn't go that way. If it is that there's no agreement with the pumps, then the ministry will then terminate and then go out for 3 pumps that were spec'd for the contract. We're just not going to just accept the pumps because it is like that. They do operate like that.
Member for Oropouche East?
There was a $7 million estimate for 2021 and revised down by $6 million to $1 million. Could you explain why the $6 million you were unable to use it for an important area like flood mitigation and infrastructure rehabilitation?
Okay, the funds from that project were transferred to other critical projects. This project is a project to rehabilitate the slope failure observed in close proximity to the perimeter roadway. Unfortunately, some of these projects, because again of the COVID pandemic, the project itself would have been delayed. So the bills for the project would have been, late in coming. The system at the ministry is that we just don't allow the money not to be utilized. We take it and we put it into other projects that are critical. So it is not that the work was not going on in these projects. It's just that the bills were late in coming because you did have significant delay during the year where contractors could not go out and work, and we had to, slow down some of the projects. But the funding would have been transferred to other critical areas, some even under the drainage program.
Member from Cairns East?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Minister, would it be fair to say that because of your ministry's negligence in acquiring the correct mobile pumps is why Cairns East suffered severe flooding in August of this year?
The answer, if the member understands the geographic area of the Cairns East, the minister will understand that that area is a flood-prone area. And the pumps had nothing to do with the geographic location of Cairns East. These are mobile pumps, and they are for the Cairns River. The Cairns River, if you understand the Cairns River, it takes all the water from the east-west corridor, basically most of the east-west corridor, and it takes it out into the ocean. What we would have done on the Cairns River is rebuild the banks, and this is why on a significant portion of the east-west corridor where you have this major flooding, especially in areas like the Greenvale and areas like that did not happen. So the pump has nothing to do with the flooding of the Cairns area. And again, it is not the negligence of the Ministry of Work. I must say it is because of the focus of the Drainage Division why they did not accept pumps that were different to what was tendered for. It would have been very easy for them to accept these 3 pumps, and a year from now the pumps break down, and then you realize those pumps look like what you ordered, but they are not, because they are very careful before they receive anything, that they investigate and make sure that is the actual pump. These pumps are very, very expensive pumps, and their intentions is to last a long time. So it has nothing to do with neglect from the Ministry of Works. What it has to do with is a public tender under the CTB that went out. A contractor won it, and when they
Minister,
deliver,
thank you.
it is not what the proposed tender was for.
Minister, can you indicate what time frame could we expect these mobile pumps to be in use for the Caroni River?
No, again, these are mobile pumps that can move throughout Trinidad. It's not specifically for the Caroni River.
So when will you be acquiring these correct pumps?
I mean, we do have pumps coming in. We have, at this point in time, several pumps coming in for different areas. And once we finalize with the supplier that whether he change the pumps for us or we terminate the contract immediately upon that, new tender will go out for pumps that is required.
And Minister, under line item 003, what can the residents of Cairns expect in terms of flood mitigation by the Ministry of Works going into the next fiscal year?
Again, like the past couple of years, the ministry have been on an aggressive desilting program. We do have several projects going on around the country, and we don't operate by constituency. We have the district system, and I can furnish you with a program of work for that district if you want. And I mean, we from time to time do put out the amount of projects that we are doing under the drainage division. We're also working, as you're aware, with the Andean Development Bank, pushing very hard to have a plan, basically, the way forward, because we do identify at the ministry that flooding is a major challenge, not only for Caroni East, Caroni West, but for most parts of Trinidad and Tobago.
Caroni West. Minister, you're not familiar with the constituency. So you made reference, Minister.
There's a flooding problem around the world. The flooding problem is not prone just to UNC constituencies. And you'll have to accept that. There's a flooding problem around the world.
We are number one in the world for flooding. Minister, you indicated that we are in the process of creating a flood master plan. At what stage is the ministry in terms of formulating the flood master plan, and where have we reached in terms of implementation of this flood master plan?
What item, might I ask, are we on?
003, flood mitigation. And the minister made reference to the master plan in his last answer.
Is there, I'm seeing infrastructure,
well, I would
rehab and flood mitigation program.
I would assume the flood master plan would involve infrastructure.
Well, maybe what you should ask is if this includes the master plan, and then you'll be allowed other questions.
Minister, would the flood master plan be included in the infrastructure rehabilitation and flood mitigation program?
No, it will not be in that program, but what I can say, it encompasses all aspects of flood mitigation. It is not into that line item or that program.
Member for Oropouche West.
Thank you, Madam. I want to stick with line item 03 before I go into 003, sorry. Minister, are you saying that the expenditure that we had proposed, but we spent 4.9 million in 2020, proposed 7 million in 2021, but we revised it downwards because we didn't spend 6 million. But this expenditure, as little as it was not advised by the proposed National Flood Mitigation Plan. So this is separate from the flood mitigation plan?
I think the member is being confused. When we talk about a national flood, we have engaged the Andean Development Bank on a grant fund that are working with us at the ministry and working with several agencies to come up with a master plan as to how we deal with flooding going forward. It entails, it's a major project which has to, once it's completed, once that project with the Andean Development Bank is completed, then it has to go to cabinet, and then we will adopt that as the way forward. However, what we are doing right now as we speak, we are taking certain aspects out of the studies that we did. Remember, we spent a lot of money on studies with flood, the Caroni River Basin, the Oropouche study, and most of these projects that you see here, they actually came out from the studies, because you don't wait until the actual plan is completed, because that will take some time. So we take out projects that we know that has to be done, and we have started.
The Cairns River project is a project that came out of the study. The gates and the pumps and so, those came out of previous studies. But what you do is that every year you take out some of the projects and you start them. You don't wait for this whole big plan that may take a couple of years to be completed.
Wonderful.
So, yes,
so Minister, can you then advise why we went from 7 million budgeted and only spent 1 million?
Again, some of these projects, the spend on the project is when the contractors submit their bills and they get paid. The work is going on. We were in a year of COVID where a lot of our construction projects would have been delayed. So the spend on it would not have been as fast as we anticipated. So it's not that the projects are not happening. The projects are happening. Unfortunately, they would not have happened as fast as we liked it, and the bills coming in did not come in at that rate. So you will have projects where you have excess funding, and what we do at the ministry, if you look at the total expenditure for the year under these programs, the money was utilized in other critical areas to ensure that they will continue. That is basically how the ministry operates.
Thank you, Minister. So then can I ask you a straightforward question, Minister? Whether you're comforted in knowing that you've now budgeted $4 million for infrastructure rehabilitation and flood mitigation program for the country of Trinidad and Tobago, and whether you think this $4 million is sufficient for the needs of Trinidad and Tobago for flood mitigation?
This is our allocation. Obviously, you will need more funding than this, and what we do at the ministry is that you utilize the allocation that you have, then you go back in the mid-year review and you apply for more money if
Minister,
needed. And then
clear,
also what you do is that you transfer money from other votes into the votes that you need money for. It's not that, I mean, let us face it, and the reality of it, this is a program. This is not all the money that you're spending in the ministry, in the drainage department. This is for this program. This is just one program in the Ministry of Works.
We are coming
Member
to that.
for Chaguanas West.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Honorable Minister, I recall last year, and I think you have alluded to it earlier in your discussion, that with respect to line item 001, the work that is being done along the Cairns River bank, it started at a particular point. Can you tell us exactly where the rebuilding of the banks have been completed, as well as the desilting?
Yeah, well, that project has several phases. What was completed is just one phase. I will have to actually get the exact points for you, but we intend to go into a phase 2, and if we need a phase 3, because what we recognize is that the entire Cairns River has to be worked upon, but you can't work on the entire river at the same time. So this package here included, I think it was from Greenvale at a certain point, and rebuilding the gates at certain points, which would have been completed. So we are now going to go into several other phases.
Minister, just to, I know you are aware, or you ought to be aware. I just want to remind you, because we have put letters on the record. The floodgates along the Cairns River bank, certainly in the vicinity of New Street and Lapai settlement, if those can be looked at within this upcoming fiscal year. And also, if I may put it on the record, Minister, if there is any compromise at this point in time of the Cairns River bank along the Lapai settlement, what will happen is that you can have a Greenvale occurrence of 2018 taking place again. So I hope that some priority could be given to that, please.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you're aware as well that I'm always willing, once you have the challenges in the area, no matter what time, day, night, I'm always there to try to bring mitigation measures for you. And I want to give you that commitment that, I mean, flooding is something that we all have to deal with. So we will do what we have to do, but remember, it's all based within a budget that we operate with.
Minister, I'm just pointing it out from the point of view of if there is compromise in that particular area, Lapai settlement, it could be really disastrous for that entire community. Thank you, Minister.
Member for Barataria Sanon.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I'm at 009, Program of Upgrade to Existing Drain Pumps and Gate Inventory. And Minister, lastly, I asked you about this issue regarding the pumps in El Socorro South. And you gave me a response in writing, and you said the works that will be done at the El Socorro pump house at Sadu Trace are the installation of a new hydraulic pump and upgrade of the pump house. However, on visit and up till this morning, I've confirmed that there were no works being done to the El Socorro South pumps for this last fiscal year. Minister, can you give the assurance that the work will be done in this fiscal year to alleviate the flooding problem that the constituents face in Bartara Sanwan in the El Socorro South area?
That project is under our 09, the Saddle Trace Pump House in Bartara is a project under our program, and it is 40% completed. Yes, and it is an ongoing project, and it's about 40% completed.
That's the floodgates, Minister. I'm speaking about the actual pumps.
Well,
the pumps
as I
are
said,
the ones that
it's
are dilapidated.
Right. So this is a program that we have. And once the gates and so are completed, the pumps are a long lead item, which will come into the program. As I said, the gates and pump program is an ongoing program, and we did set ourselves some targets. Unfortunately, because of the COVID, just receiving simple things like the pumps, the factories that manufacture it, because all these pumps are custom made. We had significant delays from the suppliers with some of these pumps. So very soon you'll see pumps at other points. At that point, I think we have new pumps coming in for those areas. And yes, Bartara is on the card, but again, pumps are long lead items, and we're working now on the pump house and the gates as we speak.
So can we anticipate whether or not we'll get those pumps by this fiscal year?
Unfortunately, because of the COVID pandemic, I think putting a time to anything could be a challenge. And I don't want you to come next year and say, but I gave you a date and I didn't hold the date.
Let me just confirm, there are, I believe, 5 pumps. Will all the 5 be replaced, or how are you all going to replace?
The engineers will tell us what capacity they need. I, as Minister, I don't want to tell you what they do before they order.
Because they have 2 separate locations.
What they do is that they estimate the volume of water they anticipate for the future, and that's how they come up. But what we're doing now is that we're bringing in new modern electric pumps. So we move away from this thing where somebody have to go and put on the pump. Pumps now are electric pumps, and they also use diesel. So if an event current cut off, which normally will happen if you have a major flood, the pumps will still be able to work manually. And so we are upgrading the pumps, and we have 2 new pumps on the ground right now in Trinidad for certain areas on the southern side. Again, we have 3 pumps that came in for that Cairns project, but we're not satisfied with it. So that's 5 pumps here. If we don't accept the 3, the Cairns, then we tender it back out and get the pumps that we need.
Well, I'm optimistic that we'll get it.
Minister, as you just raised the issue of the pumps for Cairns, I was just wondering, what's the cost of these pumps?
I could, it might be easier if you file that, because which pump is specific, because we have several
Cairns pumps, the 3 Cairns pumps that we were discussing.
Okay, I'll have to finish you with that, because again, that was a public tender through the CTB. So I'll have to finish you with that.
Member for Couva North.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I'd like to draw the Minister's attention to line item 001 and 003. For both line items, Minister, can you kindly provide us in writing a copy of the projects identified for 2022, the cost of this project, a description,
sure,
and the location and areas that the projects will be implemented?
Sure.
Thank you.
Member for Cairns East.
Thank you. Minister, line item 001, Major River Clearing Program. For fiscal 2022, could you provide us in writing for the scope of works for work that will be done on the Cairns River and its tributaries?
Sure.
Member for Kamuta Manzanilla.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Honorable Minister, line item 003. I was wondering if the Minister, are there any plans for retention ponds as part of the flood mitigation measures?
Not at this point in time, and again, that is why we are working with the Andean Bank And that is part of the overall proposal, looking at the flooding problem going forward. And I know a major part of that will be for these detention ponds and so.
Thank you.
P, coastal protection. Member for Oropouche West, we're still on drainage and irrigation.
Yes, thank you. 009 line item. Minister, about a month ago, and you just repeated it, about a month ago you announced that 2 pumps were procured. One was supposed to be placed in the woodland area and one along Tulsa Trace in that area.
Yeah.
Minister, can you advise the status, given that 1 month has elapsed, of the installation and testing and functioning of those pumps?
Yeah. The pump is one aspect of the project. What we are doing, we are upgrading the pump house. We are bringing electricity to the pump house and things like that, and that is ongoing now. I think we're very happy that we actually have the pump here. Once the contractor have completed the work on the pump sites, the electrical part of it is completed, then we will be able to install the pumps.
Minister, just to build on that same issue, however, I am aware that at the Tulsa Trace picnic site, work was ongoing and stopped. There's been no work ongoing for the last few months, despite your assurances in public that work was ongoing. And then you would have known way in advance that these pumps are being procured so that you could have had work done. It is very disturbing to hear that works for the installation of the pumps have not been done to date. But the pumps have come from wherever they are during COVID and still not been installed.
I think,
especially given that the pumps have been here now for 1 month. You would have had advance notice that they were coming. You would have developed a plan of action of some sort. Is it that you did not spend this $15 million here allocated, spent only $2.8 million, and that is why we don't have the facilities available for the pumps to date, so that citizens and residents of Oropouche West in Woodland and in Tulsa Trace are going to be faced with 4 and 6 feet of flood in their homes within the next month?
Madam Chair, sorry. I think the member is not understanding that the world is going through a pandemic and construction projects have been pushed back. This is a contract where we have a contractor on site and their scope of work. So if the pump come in at a certain time, the contractor has a certain time to deliver the project. I can't tell the contractor, look, the pump come, just put it in and start the work. Where it will pump from and where it will pump to. It's a project. We do have challenges with the COVID pandemic where everything was pushed back. Not
Minister,
only in Trinidad,
both of those projects are 1 year old.
Member for Oropouche West, please. We have expended considerable time on 009, 01, 01, and 03. Members are reminded that their questions will also be entertained in writing. I suggest that we move on to another item. P, coastal protection. A, air transport. B, bus transport. Member for Oropouche East.
What on the top of my hand?
Air transport.
Yes. Just quickly, Minister, could you give us some explanation for this project, security systems, CCTV, and access control systems?
Just give us the number, particularly as
yes,
we've gone back.
Yes, 015.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, this fund is for the air surveillance system. This fund, yeah, a new air surveillance system. It's a new system. Yeah. Good with that.
And this has been done at Piarco International Airport?
Yeah, this is, yes.
Okay.
Yes, so we're moving on. B, bus transport. Member for Couva North.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, line item 039, development of a passenger facility at Rio Claro. $351,000 was spent in the last financial term. Can the Minister advise what this spend was for?
That was the termination. That's for the Right, so through you, Madam Chair, this was for the tender package and also the termination of the last contract.
Minister, line item 070, 076, 078, and 080. Can you provide us in writing these project, the breakdown of how the monies were utilized for 2021 with description, costing, and the scope of works?
Sure.
Thank you.
Roads and bridges. G, road systems, operations and services. Member for Oropouche.
Thank you very much. Mr. Minister, the new projects 171, 172, could you just explain what they are about?
171, that is the
road safety audit.
Yeah, funding we use to undertake road safety assessments on the on 8,320 kilometers of roadway. So do the road assessment.
Could you undertake, Minister, because we hear a lot about these studies and audits and so on.
Yeah.
If and when such an audit report could be presented to members of the House for our benefit as well?
Yeah. Once it's completed.
Yes.
I'm sure the...
And road marking purposes?
Yeah. On 172, funding will be used for the purchase of 7 pieces of equipment, hand pushers, thermoplastic machines. Those are machines that we use to continue to pave the white lines and so. High pressure spray, water blasters and so to keep the roadway at least.
Minister, you're giving us assurance that you will pave the road before you mark it, huh?
You want to repeat that?
That you'll be paving roads before you go road
I
market?
always pave roads, every day.
H,
problem is
C,
the tires.
Member for Shogunas East. Are you at D? Are you at G?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, G, Madam.
Yes.
Item 170, provision of data collection. Minister, I know for some time now they have been engaged in data collection at the Chin Junction due to the current traffic situation. Can you provide an update on that in terms of data collection for the transmission plan in terms of the traffic plan for the Chin Junction? If you don't have it now, maybe in writing, because I know there was some laser and persons were assigned.
I did to you in writing.
H, C, transport. Member for Oropouche East.
One, Minister, could you just give us some clarity as to the acquisition of 2 multi-purpose vessels? What vessels they are that will cost $100,000?
Actually, 2 multi-purpose vessels which replace the existing.
Aqua.
Maritime. Oh, these are vessels for the for the maritime patrol. Why we have 100? Right.
No. I just wanted you to ask. See what is the
2 multi-purpose vessels?
What is the vessel one and the cost? Because this appears to be some type of payment on them or something.
No.
Can provide it in writing if it's not readily available.
But it's 10. How much we get here? Yeah, so it's $100,000 we get here, you know.
Yeah.
It's 100,000. So this is to do the research and so for the vessels.
Oh, so this is the research money for 2 multi-purpose vessels.
This is to do the research and
I knew there would be an explanation.
Because this is to do the research and so for the vessels.
Well, you could, in the future, maybe you could put research or data or design or something.
The vessels are estimated to be about 20 million.
And what type of vessels they are again?
Well, and that's why they're doing the research and so.
Oh, that's why you're doing the research?
Yeah.
Okay.
Member for Shogunas West.
Understood.
Minister, just as a follow-on on that last question, line item 831, who or what entity is this money being paid to conduct the research?
We have not engaged any firms at this time. Obviously, once you probably do a tender if necessary.
I, Administration, Member for Kabuta Manzanilla.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you, Honorable Minister, line item 012. I see in 2020 expenditure was 5.6 million. My question, Honorable Minister, is what was purchased and where is it located? And the second part of that, I see nothing in the revised estimate for, well, nothing for 2022.
So, member, I can't allow that kind of question going back for 2020. That should have been dealt in 2021, and that there's no item here. There's no estimate or anything, so there's nothing for us to interrogate in this exercise here. You may wish to ask your question at another time in another forum. Member for Caroni East.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Is it possible that for line item 012, could we ask the Minister if he is satisfied that the Ministry has sufficient critical heavy equipment for emergency response and flood relief?
Through Chair, I mean, heavy equipment at the Ministry is an ongoing process, and every year we try to get in something, or we try to repair the equipment that we have. And as you're aware, technology keeps changing as well, so we have to upgrade from time to time.
Are you satisfied the Ministry has sufficient equipment or not, given that we,
I would be very
from what you have said, we are the #1 country in the world for rain?
I would be a lot happier if I can get more equipment. However, I mean, the Ministry does operate with what we have,
So,
and we do.
so you're saying we need more equipment?
And we do rent equipment from time to time as needed.
Member for Oropouche East.
Minister, just to bring some clarity.
Yeah, the Minister said Trinidad is #1 for rain. I never said that. Are you putting words in my mouth now? Come on, man.
Well, Minister, we'll get to Germany just now. The question is on 012, procurement of critical heavy equipment, and I just need a clarification from you on this matter.
Sure.
The Ministry procures heavy equipment. Would the Ministry also be procuring heavy trucks at 36,000 tons?
I'm not going to allow that because there's nothing under this.
Ma'am, a heavy truck is a heavy equipment.
Excuse me?
The heavy truck I'm referring to is what's called heavy equipment.
But there's nothing under this item, member.
I want to explain the 5 million for 2020.
And I think that's what your colleague from Kamuta Manzanilla just tried.
Okay, I will return to the heavy equipment.
Thank you. Item 005, multi-sectoral and other services. Honorable members, item 005 spans 2 pages. Therefore, I will also announce the project groups. P, VEMCOT. A, administrative services. Member for Oropouche East.
Thank you. Ma'am, I'm on page 113027. Could the Minister just indicate we do have an allocation here of 2 million. Which entity is undertaking this formulation of the business plan for the licensing division?
Yeah, that would have been done internally.
But Minister, if you do a business plan internally to the licensing division, why are you allocating monies for it? There must be some external contracting or some type of thing that you procure.
So no, so this money would have been allocated for the projects under the business plan.
Oh.
The initiatives, yes.
So there's a business plan that will speak to projects, and the $2 million is for that.
Yes.
Could you give us now a nice list of those plans?
Sure.
And projects. Thank you very much.
Sure.
F, public buildings. Member for Chaguanas East.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Chair. F240, renovation works at Ministry of Works and Transport offices. Minister, can you indicate if that building at the corner of Gillingham Junction Road, Southern Main Road, Cunupia, is included in this fiscal year for renovation works?
Get back to you on that, because we do have several projects at several areas. I'll just have to check to see if Gillingham Junction is included.
All right, just to state, if you have no plans, can you all at least clean it?
Sure.
Thanks.
I'll have that done immediately.
Member for Cooper South?
Yes, let's address that immediately.
Madam Chair, Minister 318, you have a mechanical services department existing at Cairns. What you intend to do additionally in 2022?
When you say what? It's for repairs. This is repairs to the construction repair work on the buildings and so there.
Okay, so all right, okay.
No.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, line item 027. Nothing was allocated for 2021.
Oh, you're going back. We had F, public buildings.
Oh, public building. Okay.
Okay, we had public buildings.
If I may, under line item 318, can the Minister advise why it is that this $1 million was not utilized in 2021?
Yeah, this money was allocated for refurbishment work. Unfortunately, in 2021, again, due to the COVID pandemic, and so some things would have been put off, and this is one of the projects that we did not enter into.
Yes, Member for Governor.
Also, line item 311, Sangre Grande Works Office. This money also of 1.2 million was not utilized. Minister, is it the same reason or is there another reason?
Yes, it would have been. We did, with some of the buildings that were planned for refurbishment, unfortunately, we could not have done it because of the working practices due to the COVID-19 regulations.
Thank you, Minister. However, you would appreciate that the cost of building material has increased from last September to this September. And if the works were not completed during the financial year because no money was utilized, why it is there's a decrease in this project if the works are still outstanding?
Again, this is the allocation that we received, and if funding is required, we then will go back to in the mid-year review, or we will via funding from other areas to substitute the vote if required.
So we are fully aware of the expenses, but what you are saying then is that we are under budgeting for this financial term.
Unfortunately, due to the COVID-19, we have to protect lives. And if it means that we have to spend some more money on material during the project at a later time, we have to do that because we have to protect the lives. And as I said before, the allocation this year is $1 million. And what it may simply mean is that if we can't find additional funding, we do $1 million work on the project because these areas are ongoing, these works are ongoing works. So you may spend $1 million this year, and next year you will have to spend a little more, because these are buildings that we have there that you would budget a certain figure for the year. And if you have $1 million this year, you spend $1 million this year, and next year you spend more if you need.
Thank you. Thank you, Minister.
Infrastructure Development Fund, we had page 220, item 001, pre-investment, item 003, economic infrastructure, honorable members, item 003 spans 4 pages. Therefore, I will also announce the project groups. A, drainage and irrigation, member for Tabaquite.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Now, this is a similar question. Over the discussion on the recurrent expenditure and then earlier in this developmental program, we heard Minister talk about the allocation for drainage. So I'm looking at line item 005, National Program for the Upgrade of Drainage Channels. 12 million estimated in 2021, $5 million, like 5.5 expended. So we're now estimating $26 million for fiscal 2022. Is it because you've seen the impact of not utilizing the funding for the upgrade of drainage channels and in terms of the flooding that we would have witnessed over the past year? And so now we're looking at fixing a problem that could have been fixed last year?
Right. So again, through you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, if you look at the national program for upgrade of drainage channels, yes, we got 12 and we spent 5. It depends on how the bills come in. But if you go down one and you see flood mitigation, we got 7 and we spent 18.5. So what you have is that if there's one area that under the same drainage and irrigation where bills are coming in slower for some reason or the other, you transfer that money into another project and you keep all the projects going. So budgeting is during the financial year, it is not that the work on that area was not happening. It's just that the bills, because again for certain reasons, may not have been coming in as fast, or the projected time to finish the project would have been delayed for several reasons. You transfer the money and look, under similar projects, under drainage, your budgeted 7 and you spend 18.5. So some areas you transfer the money into other areas to keep the work going. That's basically what happens in places like this.
Now, while I understand your explanation on the budgeting exercise, what we have to look at is the outcomes, and the outcome would be if we had seen a reduction in flooding in the fiscal year, and we did not see that. So therefore, the outcomes of your budgeting exercise is telling us that you may want to recalibrate and focus elsewhere so that we get better outcomes in fiscal 2022.
True. Madam Chair, I hear exactly what the member is saying, but I don't think the members accept the fact that in a year when you have a pandemic like COVID, construction time for projects are delayed in some instances, and your forecast for completion, because the way the budget operates is only when the contractor is completed and sends in a bill, then we can say we utilize the funding. The funding might be ongoing, and the bills did not come in to go to the Ministry of Finance to be paid at that time. And when you anticipate that is happening, then you transfer the funding to make sure. If you look at the total allocation that we got and you look at the total spend, you'll realize that the ministry spent almost every cent of the allocation under these development programs. And to achieve something like this in a pandemic is a significant achievement. Specific projects might be affected, but other projects would have been completed.
Minister, I share your frustration, bearing in mind your budget for the IDF has been slashed and brutalized and butchered by the callous Minister of Finance by 40%. The question at 005, he's not here, no. The question at 005, upgrade of drainage channels. Minister, you had an actual of 9.6 in 2020, and you're having here an increase in your estimate of 26.5. You're seeing it there. Could you just supply us with a list of the works that you propose to do in this area of drainage, the channels and so on?
Sure.
So that we can, and I want to remind you, Minister, I have been writing you for some time now about the expansion of the, and clearing and cleaning of the river course along the Gandhi Village area in my constituency. I wrote you, I think, in October 2019 or thereabout. So you can keep that in mind. But if we can just get a list of those works, we'll be up. Can I also say for 007, flood mitigation erosion control program? Again, this is a very, very ambitious program that you are embarking on. Your expenditure in 2020 was 153,000, but your estimate for 2022 is almost 30 million. So you're going to move from $150,000 to 30 million. Could we again ask you for your programs? What are these projects that will entail this type of costing for such a critical area as flood mitigation, erosion control?
Sure.
Member for Maruga Tableland.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I would just like to add to what my colleague said. When the minister is generating the list, if consideration be given to Charapan, Larafin River, Oropouche, and La Mahaber, in the sense that I would written you several times, and the Department of Drainage, and I'd like consideration. Thank you, Minister.
Sure.
Member for Oropouche West.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I want to return to line item 005 and line item 007. I note the Minister indicated that substantial work, colleagues, I note the Minister indicated that substantial work was not undertaken under 005, the National Program for Upgrade of Drainage Channels. He indicated that that was as a result of COVID. Ironically, the Minister then says, but we spent more money in the other head. So on the one hand, we could not complete work because of COVID, but on the other hand, we increased the amount of work during COVID. That is simply illogical, Minister. And my reason for raising the question, Minister, is that under either of these two, I want to find out if under either of these two heads, in the work going forward or in the work done, does the constituency of Oropouche, the rivers and drainage watercourses in the constituency of Oropouche West, factor in at all in the Minister's thinking under these heads?
Sure. Madam Chair, through you, I think maybe the member is now too far from me, so he's not hearing clearly what I said. What I said is that the billing time, the times that bills come in, all right, I never said we didn't do any work. All the project work is going on. All right, it depends on when the bills come in, and we have to monitor that at the ministry. So I never said that no work was done in these areas. That is not true. The second thing, at the ministry, we do not work by constituency. We work by districts.
Sure.
So if you want, I can furnish you with a listing of all the work, because we at the ministry, we don't like people burning tires and things like that. We distribute our wealth, our spend. We distribute our spend through all Trinidad, and I can stand and say in all the districts in Trinidad, especially when it comes to drainage, that we all get a fair share of the budget allocated to the ministry, and I'm quite prepared to supply you with a listing of all the work that is done in the different districts in Trinidad, and you'll be able to see how we spend our money across the country based on the priority of the projects.
And I take that, Minister, for either of the two line items, 05,
sure.
In fact, for both of 005 and 007, can the Minister indicate if we are going into this 29 million and 26 million, what part of that constitutes arrears for work done and not work going forward?
Sure, I'll supply you with that.
Thank you, Minister.
Member for Cuba South.
And not often that I try to complain, but Minister, with respect to 005 and 007, and I know that this is something that, Madam Chair, you are hearing, but over and over, but Minister, with respect to the Cairns district, now you know that the Southern Main Road is very familiar to you, and it encompasses Couva North and Couva South. There are numerous outfall drains that were previously maintained by Cairns in 1975 Limited, and I'm making an appeal to you to clean those outfall drains that heads into the Cali Bay or in Valley area, so that it could ease the flooding, for example, on Dewnarine Junction and Green Door Junction. And I do not know if you have a flood mitigation plan as it relates to the continuous flooding, as it relates to the Southern Main Road in Couva from Isaac Junction to Ropes Junction and so on. And you could probably take that into consideration as you go forward. And if your technical officers need guidance, because I know some of them may not know all the outfall drains and so on, I remain at your disposal.
Is
okay.
Madam Chair, asked already.
And other services. Member for Couva North.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I wanted to ask a question related to line item 007, flood mitigation.
Can I invite you to put that in writing, please?
Sure, no problem.
And other services. Member for Moruga Tibulan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I would just like to ask the Minister if he could provide a detailed status report for item 003, the construction of the Moruga Fishing Facility at Grand Chimay. And also, Minister, for clarity, I saw in the Daily News paper, October the 12th, you said that there was a budgetary increase of $80 million. I know when the project was first, $80 million, that was printed in the Daily News, Guardian, October the 12th, but I know the budgetary allocation for the project was $62 million. Yeah. So I'd like to know if you clarify, inform yourselves.
There has been no increase in the project price at this time. So if your figure is $62 million, that's the price. I have no information at the Ministry of Works that there have been any increase in the budget price.
But Guardian quoted you as saying 80 million. So.
I mean, the Guardian could, can't account for the Guardian.
Declared war on the Guardian,
Not yet.
P, coastal protection. Member for Shogunas, member for Orupuch West, sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Line item 015, Comprehensive National Coastal Monitoring Program. This Comprehensive National Coastal Monitoring Program was budgeted, actual spend 2020 was $4 million and a budgeted for 2021 of $4 million again. But I noticed no budget for 2022. Is that, Minister, we are no longer monitoring our coasts?
Yeah. No, we are monitoring that program continues. Right? Yes.
So is this a typo, Minister? Is there's no allocation here?
Yes. Yeah. The program is continuing. So
it's a consultancy.
So, Minister, it's
a consultancy.
So, Minister, just for clarity, since there's no allocation, but the program continues.
Well, yeah.
Is there an error?
No. So in the event, in a case like this, again, we will then have to look for funding within the ministry once bills come up for this project, because it is an ongoing project.
But this is a predictable expense, Minister.
Sorry?
This is a predictable expense, so it should have been budgeted for.
Well, it's a consultancy.
Especially if it's ongoing.
We're not sure if we'll get any idea.
It's been undertaken in 3 phases.
Right.
We're now finished with the first phase.
So your estimates are wrong, Minister.
Again, this project will be undertaken in 3 phases, and the first phase have now been completed. So we are evaluating the first phase, and before we go on to the second phase. So that could be one of the
So you do not propose to engage services in 2022?
No, but this year we have to evaluate the results of the first phase, which will be done in-house.
Understood, Minister. I'm just asking whether or not you intended to have any work done under this line item in 2022, and if you did, why it was not budgeted for.
Yeah. So again, the work that has to be done now, most of it will be done in-house. So it's a matter of timing as to when we will bring on the consultant back on for the next phase.
And if you need some additional funding, you will come in the mid-year.
If we need additional funding, then we come back in the mid-year review, or we look for funding within the ministry to supplement the vote.
Thank you, Minister.
D. Member from Moruga, you under D?
Not D. I would like to.
You're still in P?
Yeah.
Yes.
025, Minister. I noticed that there is a new line item, Moruga Coastal Protection Works. If you have the information on hand, could you give us a detailed explanation as to what this entails, or if not, you could provide it in writing?
I just like to do work in Moruga. All the work going on Moruga now. All.
Member for Tabakit, you still in P?
No.
Okay. So D, roads and bridges, member for Tabakit.
Thank you. I'm at line item 247, road construction and major road rehabilitation. Now, I'm noting that there was there's a revised estimate of some $74 million spent in fiscal 2021 on road construction and rehabilitation. Now, I can see it here, but I can't see it out there. So if the minister can give us by a list of where these roadworks took place so that we can get some idea of where the next $90 million estimated in 2022 would be spent, because somewhere had to be fixed for the $74 million. Now, I appreciate that's a longer answer, so I can take that in writing. But I'm also looking at the landslip. This is 2760 landslip repairs program, and $21 million was estimated, of which $14 million was spent, $25 million, sorry. And so the minister would be aware that I brought by way of matters with the adjournment the landslips in my area. And you yourself recognize that 10% of the most dangerous landslips are in the Tabaquite constituency, 2 of which we spoke about received approval for works to be completed in fiscal 2021. That's Grand Couva and Puna, neither of which the work has started in fiscal 2021. So if we can, in discussing these expenditures, look at these landslips, because you yourself identified them as being very dangerous and need of urgent attention.
Member for Oropouche East.
Very much, Madam Speaker, Madam Chair. At 247, Minister, on the road construction major rehabilitation pure project, 90 million provided here. I just wanted to use this opportunity to ask you again for the list of works that you propose to do, and to please consider the Papori Road from San Fernando to Barrackpore, which I don't have to tell you about that. I think you're fully aware the serious state of disrepair of that road and the consequences and so on. At number 275, the bridges program, again, you had an actual of 74 million in 2020, and this has decreased significantly now to 40 million. Minister, I want to remind you there are 2 bridges, the Bailey Bridge in Barrackpore at scale number 2, which we did a couple of years ago. That you have to build a bridge there, and we have been writing you for a couple of years as well on the Sahani Bridge in the Mohis Road area, which 30 feet of the road have also collapsed already. And I think that is also earmarked for some rehabilitation. It is in the Mohis Road, Diggity area and Sahani Road, but the road is now impassable. It was one way. I'm not sure if they can use it anymore. But anyway, it's a serious hazard. And we have written to you on this October 2019 as well. I have a copy of the letter I can give you. And Minister, you need to clarify at your ministry that the language you all use is English. We are writing a lot of letters and we are not getting a response. It should be right in German or Hindi or something. We need to check on that, and is a particular frustration we all face, I believe. Another question, if I could just ask so that I can complete my quota.
Well, I'll allow you another
want me to
question,
come
but
back?
I wouldn't let it appear that you're manipulating the conversation, so I'll most probably ask somebody else and you'll come back in another round. Sure. Okay?
Fine.
No, you can ask this
I can
last
go.
question.
Yeah, Minister, the line item 281, could we just get the status of this project? Is it the policy of the government to continue it or to stop, as the case may be? Because we are not seeing the allocation under the line item for that.
Well, I see I will not allow that because there hasn't been anything under that since 2021.
Yes.
So your opportunity to have asked that would have been last year. So maybe you could ask that at another time. Okay, so let me call somebody else.
Sure.
Member for Shogunas East.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, line item 275, Bridges Reconstruction Program. Minister, I'm sure you're aware of the Bridle Road, the temporary bridge that was placed there during the course of the week that is gaining a lot of public attention due to that Bridle Road being a major roadway in terms of the traffic congestion in Shogunas, in Cunupia, etc. I would just like to know under this line item, Mr. Minister, whether the 2-lane bridge, as you may call it, would be constructed during this financial year? Because your officials at the ministry, they are stating that this is a temporary bridge, and they are doing estimates to ensure that this bridge is done as soon as possible.
Again, under the BRP program, that specific bridge does not fall under the purview of the Ministry of Works. Although we went in and we put in we did construct a temporary structure there to make sure that it was passable. This program deals with much larger bridges, and so we have other projects that deal with those smaller bridges. But again, it will all be done on a priority basis. We have to look in terms of the funding that is available. Bridges are not something I just go in and just construct just like that. You have to do a lot of design. It takes a while before you actually start a bridge. So in this fiscal year, the answer to that is no, because a bridge like that, we do have a listing of all the bridges and the priority where they are. The bridge, because we can't separate, and I mean, I want to put this on the table. I don't like to separate between what is local government and what is Ministry of Works. At the end of the day,
it is yours.
I mean, we need to get the infrastructure right. And that's why we work with corporations. If the bridge falls under the ministry will deal with it. But when we have to make sure that the priority for bridges, we have to design these bridges. That takes a while. Then you have a tendering process to go out and things like that. So no, that will not happen this year. However, I give you the assurance that what we will do is to ensure that the bridge remains passable. I understand that they are looking at putting in traffic lights now, because I know that there are a problem with the entrance and the exit on the bridge, and there's some challenges on the incline, if it's the same bridge we're speaking about. And I have instructed the ministry to go in and bring some sort of relief, because a bridge is not a quick fix. All right, but the bridge will get the attention that it needs.
Madam Chair, just to close this off quickly, Minister, we've been writing to you at least 3 years now concerning that bridge. That is the Cunupia River connecting to Diet Estate River, which is under your purview.
All right,
just
so
to clarify that.
And again, to say that we're writing 3 years on a bridge, we have a bridge program. We have several bridges in Trinidad. We have a program where we're removing wooden bridges, and so every year we remove a certain amount. But again, construction of the bridge network in this country costs a lot of money, and we have to do it on a phase basis. That is why we ended the phase 3, where we are designing now 25 bridges, and then we start construction 12 at a time. So, I mean, the infrastructure will be attended to, but it can't be that every time something happens to a bridge, we expect the ministry to go in and build it immediately. What we give you the assurance is that we will keep the road passable, even if it means we put in Bailey bridges. I know the Minister for
Energy.
Minister for Energy is raising his hand, and Madam Chair, I promise him I will have his bridge in Fonziman sorted out, so he don't have to delay us anymore. Right? You will get the bridge in Fonziman.
No. I am feeling sorry for you, Minister Works. The amount of letters I have heard been written to you. No wonder you're spending all your time answering these letters.
Line item.
Oropuch West.
Line item.
Member for Oropuch West.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I refer to line item 276, the landslip repairs program. Madam Speaker, the Minister is disturbing me. Madam Speaker, 276, the landslip repairs program. I note a fall between the estimate to the revised estimate from 25 million to 14.3 million. Minister, you are aware that in the constituency, and I speak specifically about the constituency of Oropuch West, we have San Francisco Main Road, in which there are multiple landslips to the point of the road becoming impassable. We have another landslip at Santa Cecilia Trace, where the road is almost impassable. Minister, we raise these issues by protest and otherwise. Persons have done petitions to you. And to date, we have had no respite. We have had no attempt. Minister, can you advise, please? Minister, can you advise, please, if in 2022 estimate, the residents of San Francisco Road can expect any kind of recourse, any kind of work being done to treat with the problems they are having with landslip in their areas?
Program is for major landslips. So those landslips in
San Francisco.
Francisco,
You know what that is, right?
we do landslips under different programs. So we have the Highways Division, then Pure will do
This particular landslip, sir?
under this program, they deal with the major landslips. And are we talking about some like by, remember? Yes. Unfortunately,
which is
so this
threatening
is
to
for
cut
major
off
landslip, but
citizens.
I hear the member, and I can give you the assurance, I can tell you that the permanent secretary have taken notes, but again, it is based on the fact, but this program is not for this type of landslips that you have. This is for major landslips.
Minister, with due respect, these are major landslips.
Well,
the road has now caved away.
And
by the time the rainy season is complete, that road will be separated completely. Totally impassable. In Santa Cecilia Trace right now, Minister, I encourage you to come down and visit. In Santa Cecilia Trace right now,
so in the
road is virtually impassable.
In the interest of time, all right, because I think the conversation thus far has been that the minister has said that he has given an undertaking that where slips and bridges can't be dealt with, the roads would be maintained to be passage access will be maintained. But I'll ask members if there's a specific one, if you can ask the question in writing. Okay, so that, no, not to write the minister, but ask the question in writing on this exercise. All right, can we go on to member for Caroni East?
Madam Chair, it was about the bridge and landslip, so I'll put it in writing.
Okay. You know, I'm so sad to hear that it's only one member has utilized questions in writing in this 5-day process. That's so sad. Member for Couva South.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. You see, sometimes the pile of letters.
No, this is not letters.
Just get lost.
These are not letters.
Yeah. 247, Minister. Road construction, major rehabilitation. In the context of the importance of the Point Lisa's industrial estate and so on, that road from the Castle roundabout to beyond the Savanetta fire station, I hope that it can be rehabilitated during this fiscal year because there are a number of points of entry and exit along that road that helps workers in and out of the Point Lisa's industrial estate, and I hope that you can pay some attention to that.
Member for Maruga Tableland.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, line item 247. Minister, I don't know if you are aware that the constituents in Maruga Tableland, in the Barco area, had engaged in some fiery protests for the beginning of this week. I don't know if the minister is aware of this, right? So, Minister, I'm also aware that you would have met with the Barco Route 2 Taxi Association and you would have had a conversation with them. So I would like to get an undertaking from the minister that the road network in Barrackpore would be addressed. Apart from the road network in Barrackpore, Minister, I know you are aware of the situation in the Hindustan area, that entire area is vested underneath the Ministry of Works and it has not had any rehabilitation works done for years. So I would like something, Minister, if you could give, because I know my constituents are looking at this program right now, if you could give them some kind of assurance that you would visit the area, that you would attend to their needs, and that you would rehabilitate the roadway.
I think the member from Maruga Tableland should, if you take a drive to the Maruga constituency, you'd realize that Maruga constituency over the last 5 years got double the amount of money double the amount of money. At the average
Minister, and not to
average
interrupt.
constituency in Trinidad
And
and
not to
Tobago.
interrupt you, the
Maruga-
Murga Road, the Barco Road, and the Naparima Mira
So-
Road, these are different access points.
Yes, but
Yes,
again,
I would admit.
Okay, 1 minute, please. Let one person speak at a time.
So, Madam Chair, I have spent the last check in Maruga close to $250 million.
Minister,
If
I would
continue on the spend like that, then none of the other members on the other side will get one road, one pavement, one drill built there. Now, at the end of the day, we are operating on a budget. So I can't promise the member to go and fix every road in her constituency at the same time. Then no other road in Trinidad will get fixed.
Okay, member for Couva North.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I have placed my concern in writing and concerning line item 247, road construction. Minister, in January 2021, on the 11th of January 2021, I did in fact write to you indicating the deplorable road conditions in Couva North. And I highlighted some of the roads that fall under the purview of the Ministry of Works and Transport: the Orangefield Main Road, the Waterloo Main Road, the Couva Main Road, Rope Junction to Calibre, Perseverance, Shananago, the Macbean Old Road, St. Mary's to Mission Road, Chaguanas Main Road in Petersfield and in Union Village, etc. Minister, I did receive acknowledgement from the Permanent Secretary for sending this letter to you, and I thank the PS for acknowledging. However, what I'm seeing is the PS is working, acknowledging receipt of the letter, but the Minister is not working to get the job done. And Minister, what I'm seeing here is $90 million for the upcoming financial term. Now, I know you might make several excuses why it is the work wasn't done in the last year. Even though $74 million was utilized, you will make excuses. But what I would really like to hear from you is what level of commitment are you going to give for these roads to be completed with the spend of this $90 million in the upcoming financial year?
Through you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, the Minister don't determine which road is going to be paved and which road is not going to be paved. We have a director of highways and we have different districts where the heads of the district will submit based on a priority listing, based on the finance available, and that is how the roads are determined. So at the end of the day, I acknowledge your letters, right? And the letters goes to the director of highways, the highways department, and based on a priority, based on different methods that they would use, they would allocate the funding for the different divisions. So I hear you. We have an allocation, and we have to spend that allocation to get, at the end of the day, to see as far as we can and can carry that. So, and again, the ministry does not decide that we're not spending here, we're not spending there. We try, based on the recommendations from the technical staff, that is how the money is allocated.
Minister, your technical staff...
Couva North, are you going on to another item? Because I think this response that the minister has given, he has given several times. So that we've heard the representations for your particular roads, the minister has explained something. Can you move on to another item? If not, I'll call another member.
I'll move on to another line item, but
Please.
I would just like the minister to provide
Another
a
line item, please.
Sure, line item 275 with respect to bridges construction program. Minister, it has been brought to your attention the bridge that has become impassable in the Felicity Waterloo, that connector road there, Felicity Waterloo connector road, that bridge has become impassable, and that is a roadway that is utilized by a lot of our farmers who are actually supplying the Namdevco food box. So we would appreciate if you can look into the refurbishment works that is needed on the side of that bridge where the roadway has caved. Also, it has also been brought to the ministry's attention on
Just
multiple
one second.
occasions
Can you
through
just call the
regional,
name of the bridge again, the area of the bridge?
the Felicity Waterloo Connector Road.
That's what you want to do.
That is a conversation that you would have had with the mayor.
Didn't we put the Bailey Bridge there recently?
No.
Not there, okay.
No,
all right.
not there. All right. However, Minister, I would be willing to take you on a site visit to look at the works, all right? Moving forward with respect to the representation that have been made by Councillor Alan Taxi Sipasad at Regional Coordinating Committee meeting, where your representative, where the ministry representative would have been present, highlighting the Union Village Bridge. That bridge is about to collapse and it needs to be looked at. It falls under the purview of the Ministry of Works and Transport, and I'm really hoping that some works can be done to that. Also, Councillor Dubraj Prasad, with respect to the Rupsing Road, the bridges in Korea Village. These bridges, we need to look at them, the entire under foundation facility, under the support for the bridge has given way. The material is actually falling down into the watercourse. There's a big hole, and temporary works are being done to try and avoid pedestrians from endangering their lives and other persons, right? So, Minister, if you can kindly look into these two bridges.
Which west?
Thank you, Madam. I refer the Minister to line item 295, the rehabilitation of secondary roads, minor roads, agriculture and forestry access roads. Minister, I note that this is a new project. It's the first time on the books, and you have an allocation of 40 million in 2022 going forward. Minister, given your lack of efficiency in terms of the main roads, I'm appealing to the Minister today to try to spend some of that money doing some of the necessary repairs in the constituency of Oropouche West, in some of these secondary roads and the rehabilitation of some of these secondary roads. Minister, I appeal to you again, because citizens are experiencing great difficulty, especially in this area here. I will provide the Minister with a comprehensive list of suggested secondary roads in my constituency that I would like him to consider under this allocation.
Member for Caroni East.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Minister, with regards to line item 295, I'm asking in fiscal 2022 if we could get the Boykato Road, which is a secondary road, repaved, because it's the only access right now the residents of Lalu Trace have, given that the bridge has fallen into the river, into the watercourse. And if that bridge cannot be fixed in the short term, this is the only access that those farmers who supply produce to NAMDEFCO have to get their produce in and out.
Okay. Member for Caroni Central.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, there are quite a number of items I would like to traverse. Firstly, 247. I wouldn't want to say that I've written to the Minister and not gotten a response, but that is the reality of the situation. Why do you accuse yourself, why?
Member for Caroni Central. In the interest of time.
You're not giving us any protection, and you.
Member for. 1 minute.
Why do you accuse yourself? Yeah.
Member for Maruga Tableland.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I just like to ask the Minister with regards to 275 bridges. Minister, I know you're aware of the Edward Trace Bridge, and if any undertaking would be given, because I have 75 farmers cannot get their produce out. I know you're aware of this. It was in the news. A 3-ton truck would have fell down in the watercourse, and we are asking you to address the situation. Madam Chair, if you would allow me, with regards to item 278, this is a line item that was put in place to deal specifically with landslips along the Naparima Miara Road. I see that for 2022, nothing is allocated. If the Minister could give an explanation as to why.
Member, there's nothing under it. Maybe you could ask what has been achieved under 2021.
Well, yes, I would like to, if the Minister could indicate what the $1 million was spent in 2021, but also why, because that roadway is in a deplorable state, which the Minister knows. So if the Minister would rethink putting a project underneath this line item. That aside, Madam Chair, with regards to line item 288, construction of the Murga Highway. Now, in the Daily News again on October 12th, the minister stated that he would have spent $175 million. Well, I guess the article misquoted you, Minister. My apologies. But Minister, I would like to get an update with regards to this project. All the landslips or the slope stabilizations that was done, and with regards to the contractor and the amount, also the ones that had to be retendered. Also, Minister, if you would provide as to when this project will be completed, in the sense that it started in 2017 and it was earmarked to complete in 2019. To date, the road is in an extremely deplorable state. I know that you're saying these monies are being allocated, but the commuters, like myself, we have to use the roadway and it is costly. That aside, Madam Chair, if you'll permit me, underneath item 295, the new line item, to request on behalf of my table and pineapple farmers that if the minister would consider some agricultural access roads, because the entire of the George Village, the George Village part of my constituency is vested underneath the Ministry of Works, and they are secondary roads, and they're used by farmers. Mantacool second branch, I would appreciate if the minister would consider it.
Member, the minister would like to respond.
Sure.
Madam Chair, I'm happy that the member raised all these things, because I indicated how much money is spent in Maruga. And just to give you a little synopsis as to why it is taking so long, when we started on that project, there were 21 landslips. 21 landslips on that road. We're up to almost 48 now. And the reason for that, the Maruga...
The reason for that is your colleague.
No, the reason for that is because it's an area where you have constant land movement, right? So the project keeps expanding.
Aided and abetted by WASA.
So, but it is an area that is prone to landslips, and the ministry has to now revisit this decision that whenever there's a slippage, you run in and you build a retaining wall, because we have to decide whether that is I mean, that could solve the problem. Clearly, it can't. We may have to look in terms now of cutting new roads, because most of the roads, they are built on ridges and so. And that is why we are doing these comprehensive studies and the geotech surveys and so, because you said that the project is taking too long. Where the project started to where it is now, it's a total different project. And now we have a port working on at the end there. So we want to get the road completed, but it's an area that is prone to landslip, and we have to make sure that, you know, what we're doing is the right thing, because climate change is there, the soil is saturated, and there's a constant movement on that part of the island. So you have to understand, and that is why, you know, I was a little bit taken back with the protest, because I spent a lot of money and time in Maruga. You were there last week when I went on three landslips that we brought back connectivity immediately. But it's an area that does have its challenge, and it is not that it's been neglected. It is just that we have a budget to work with, and we just can't spend all the money in one constituency. Thank
Member
you.
for Cairns Central, are you ready to have my ear now?
Thank you, Madam Chair. As I was saying before, I was rudely interrupted by the member for St. Anne's. Madam Chair, to show you, item 247, line item 247, we have written to the Minister on quite a number of occasions. We have not gotten a response. Minister, there are 14 roads which fall under the purview of the Ministry of Works and Transport in the constituency of Cairns Central. In the last 6 years, there has been work on none of those roads. Can you give any undertaking with respect to this year, the 90 million, where this 90 million will be spent, and if any will be spent in Cairns Central?
And I've stated the criteria that we use. The districts will send their roads forward, and then the director of highways and the PA, they will look at the budget that we have, and they will allocate the spend for the areas that are most critical and things like that. So I am not going to sit here and tell you you're going to get all those. It's $90 million. We will have some outside, but this is not $9 billion. If I listen to all the roads that I have to pave when I leave here, I need $9 billion, not $90 million. So we have to prioritize. We have to use a system. Okay, but what I give you the assurance is that we will ensure that connectivity is maintained throughout the island. Thank you.
Member for Cairns Central.
Follow up, please, on another line item, 276, landslip repairs. Minister, there may be a connectivity issue if urgent work is not undertaken in the Vancouver area. There are two landslips within 100 feet of each other that needs urgent attention. When I spoke to the minister, the engineer at the division, he indicated they were waiting for the approval of funds. I ask you to look at that and put some priority on that, please, Minister. Another line item, please, as we go along. The 289 construction of Valencia to Tobago Road. Minister, I have one question in respect of this item. Does this construction Valencia to Tobago Road pass through anywhere close to the Aripo Savannah?
Valencia is on the other end of there's no way close to Aripo Savannah. If you know this, Valencia and the Aripo Savannah is two different places. The answer is no. Very far. Very far.
Thank you.
I ask members if there are any other remaining questions under D, that they put those questions in writing. G, road systems, operations and services. Yes, member? No, I didn't. I promised you.
Well, come back to me.
What happens is this: it wasn't a promise; it was an invitation in event we had time. Okay, all right.
Madam
So
Chair,
I'm so sorry. All right, let's go on to road systems, operations and services. Members could put it in writing. All right. We could never entertain every possible question in the time constraint that we've had. And if some of us will learn to précis, we might advance. Okay?
Madam Chair?
But I'm so sorry.
Madam Chair?
Road systems, operations and services. That goes for you too, member for Vancouver North. I took you several times in this area.
Only one.
Road systems and operations and services. H, Sea Transport, member for Oropouche West.
Thank you, Madam. Madam, I noticed that there's no allocation under 844 for the construction of the elaborate dry dock and associated facilities.
And
Can the
therefore,
minister advise if this project
having
is
regard to
completed?
your observation, which you so acutely made, this item cannot be discussed in
Minister,
this.
ma'am, the question is whether or not this project is finished, which is why there's no
There has
allocation,
been,
or if it was a
member
typographical.
for Shagona, Oropouche West, there has been no allocation since 2021, so that
Yes, ma'am.
I can't entertain that at this stage. I'm so sorry.
Thank you, ma'am.
Member for Point of Peer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Minister, line item 832, major asset renewal of the water taxi and fleet of vessels, $3 million allocated in 2022. Could you give us a list, and if that includes the Carnival runner that is in repairs down in San Fernando?
You asked for a listing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And does it include the Carnival runner? You'll talk to me privately.
No, the thing about it is, if you want a listing, we give you a listing. We can give you a listing, or we could talk.
Yeah,
I prefer
I'll
to give you
appreciate
the
the
listing.
list. Thank you.
Item 004, social infrastructure. Honorable members, the question is that the sum of $2,359,344,860 for head 43, Ministry of Works and Transport, stand part of the schedule. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. I think the ayes have it. The sum of $2,359,344,860 $359,344,860 for Head 43, Ministry of Works and Transport, now stands part of the schedule. Thank you, Minister. Thank you, Pierre. Thank you to all the other representatives. Minister, you didn't keep your word. All right, members, it is now 3:43. I think now is a convenient time for us to take a 30-minute suspension. We will be back here at 4:15. This meeting is now suspended.